Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Today we got a topic for you. We got a combination topic. Topic is, are FBAs related to Pharaohs? Stop. Now, I know that some of our brothers and sisters have been saying for years, we the descendants of kings. Things like that. Been saying we the Indians and, saying a whole bunch of this and that. But recently, a brother out of Atlanta, a business exec, went to go get his blood tested and the test popped that back positive as to him being related to Ramses III. What's that about? Well, we're going to get into it today, ladies and gentlemen. We're going all the way in. Are FBAs royalty? Are we related to kings? Are we related to pharaohs? Are we related to pharaohs? And uh-oh, that's an English flag. Are we related to pharaohs and British kings? Are we related to pharaohs and British nobility? Could that be possible? I think so. And the bigger question is, does academia hide this shit? Short answer, yes, it do. Well, first and foremost, let's jump right in. Let's jump head first in this shit. Let me put some in the jumbotron to help us understand why we're related to the white folks. Let's do the white folk first. Let's do the English folk first. So you have to think about the slave trade and the system of domination by the British. The British came over here um, to dominate. And who came over here to dominate? The nobility class. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you look in the Jumbotron at the graphic organizer that has the hierarchy of the feudal system, that's England. Top of the food chart is king. Got it? The king runs it. Queen should be right next to him, but I'm gonna leave that alone. Below the king, you have the nobility. So nobility is basically the way that works is they're allocated kingship. So they're little bitty kings. The king says, "Hey, round table. I'm taking over this big landmass. We're gonna call it America. So I need Wani to take over New York. I need Mr. IPA to take over Delaware. I need Highland to take over Georgia. I need the new black to take over Mississippi. Professor, I want you to be in Alabama. ALN, I need you to be in West Virginia. And y'all gonna do what I say. Now, you're gonna handle my objective and give me my money. Or in King James's case, his cigarettes and his cotton. But what are you getting out of this? You're getting whatever you want to out of there. You can have as many women as you want. Hell, you can kill them folk. I don't care. Just give me my tobacco and give me my cotton. That's how this game works. So, given the fact that our people, for the most part, were allocated as a slavery class, thereby not having control over our bodies, the nobility had the ability to procreate with us. Nah, it's being too nice to rape us. Let's just call it what it is. I'm not going to cherry pick, sugarcoat that bullshit because I'm a victim of it. Notice my curly hair and my light skin. That's not by choice. My big mama, my great great grandmama, was raped on the fields, on the battlefields of Aniana, Alabama, because she had no control over her body. Guess who she was raped by? She was raped by British nobility. So guess what? I'm royal. I'm a noble. Who knew that I am related to the king? I'm an Englishman. I'm probably about 30% English. Not by chance. I mean, not by choice, but by just circumstance. So I'm royal. Take that. Who knew? So, do I have rights to inheritance? I don't know how that works. Back to the Pharaoh thing. Wani, could you tell us how are we related to pharaohs?
Wait, I still wanted to talk about these English people.
Okay, let's go back to the English.
So,
Because I am an Englishman and I want to know more about my history.
yes. So, um, these are the people that uh, our people were exposed to genetically. I mean, I'm saying this nicely. Ship captains, land barons, basically rich people with land, um, clergy, soldiers, indentured servants. A lot of Black American children were born from Irish people, and they have a maternal haplogroup. Um, and monarchs. And some of the monarchs were land barons too, but we're speaking about monarchs. And so the French Huguenots, they came from the House of Bourbon, and a lot of them came over here. English people came from the houses of Hanover, um, and then we had some other, and Stuart, sorry, King Charles II produced offspring with the enslaved. Um, and then you had the other group from Orange Nassau House, and they set up New Amsterdam, aka New York. So these were the hot spots where a Black American could be admixed with someone from a royal background. Now, they're basically saying that because they're royal, they have the right to rule, they have a special connection with God, but actually they just went out in the woods and beat up some other guy who said that he was the royal, and then they became royal. They really don't have any connection or right to rule other than some skirmishes in the woods. Kind of like when rams bump horns and then one gets to mate with all the other female of the species, similar to that.
Facts.
Um, but they don't believe in this blood the way that they say. Because if they believed that their blood was so important and so royal and so, you know, outrageously important, then why would they treat people that are direct descendants like trash? One example is the Prince of Monaco. He had a child with an African woman, and he was told to go marry a white woman, and that Africans or that son of African descent could not be a part of any kind of ruling class. Like he couldn't have any kind of title. He wasn't married to the mother, but he couldn't have any kind of title. He couldn't be acknowledged. Of course, he has to pay for him. But why do these people have all these children with people that, and then just treat them like trash? And if their blood is so important. Now, did you want to go to the um, Egyptian part of it, or still take a break for talk about this a little bit more?
Let's unpack this a little bit more because I mean I'm dead serious. I got English lineage and I want to know what I'm entitled to. Cause shit, I'm related to him. What am I entitled to since I'm related to a baron? Like, what can I get? Where's my money at? Do I have a reparation claim with England or some shit? Can I claim
Can we get
lineage
some of their
over?
stolen jewelry? Some of their
I want
stolen
Yep.
some.
silk bags?
Give me some. Give me some of that jewelry. I take some jewelry. Can I get some, Wani? Can I?
I don't know. What I've noticed is that when Black Americans do their lineage and they find out that they're related to someone famous, the white people start squealing and screaming and saying no, and everybody's related to him, and it was so long ago, and I'm related to that guy. They just start freaking out. But then they're in the same thread talking about I'm related to Napoleon, who actually has an African haplogroup. I'm related to this person. I'm related to Charlemagne. They're very happy about it, but they don't want us to be happy. What is with that?
Well, I'll tell the truth about that. I want to tell the truth and shame the devil, if I may. We're gonna go to Claude Anderson to understand the paradigm that Wani just talked about. Wani basically said, "Why is it that we can't have nothing?" That's the simple way of saying what Wani just said. According to Claude Anderson, page 10 and 11 of Black Labor, White Wealth. Dr. Anderson says, "Quote: Slaves were intentionally kept without hope." Right? He says, quote, "A slave's life was committed to producing wealth and comfort for white masters. The slaves suffered in silence. There it is. Um, our intent, the intent for us, and we were never slaves, we were enslaved. There's a big difference, was to keep us without hope and to use us as what our Robbie Blue brother Robbie Blue says, a wealth engine. We're supposed to provide comfort for others, and I'll be damned if that hadn't been our position for the last 400 years, including as of yesterday. You're supposed to provide comfort for others. You're not supposed to benefit from anything. In fact, Maryland wrote an edict that said black people shall not ever enjoy the fruits of their labor, because the labor basically belongs to somebody else. So, Wani, that's what I hear when you say that. When we come up and say, "Hey, we have a claim to some type of happiness," the white Americans say, "No, no, no, you're not supposed to be happy. That happiness belongs to me."
It's a knee-jerk reaction, and I
Facts.
noticed it from West Africans and all Africans actually. I noticed this knee-jerk reaction from West Africans specifically and white people. So if we say, "Oh yeah, by the way, I got a notification that I'm related to, uh, you know, uh, King Ramses III," which a lot of our men did. It's on the paternal side, so I wouldn't get it. My cousin got it. He showed it to me. Um, when we say that, they have a knee jerk. No, you're not. You African. They are African. No, you're this African. They get very hostile. And the white people just say, no, you're not related to nothing. Nothing impressive. You are pure garbage. Even though we want to follow you around and see what you do. How are you wearing your pants this week?
But
Uh-huh.
but Wani, ooh shit. Let me do a connection right quick. They the ones who sold us to the Europeans, so they have the same sentiment. You're not supposed to enjoy anything. You're a slave. You enjoy lineage. No, 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 no. You can't enjoy it. That enjoyment is for the white man. It's not for you. I sold you to the white man, therefore that belongs to the white man. And the white man saying, no, 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 no. You're not supposed to be happy. The happiness belongs to me. This kind of frustrates me because it reminds me of my teens, in my early 20s. I hung out with a bunch of white dudes in college the first time around, and white dudes from my hometown. We've talked about this. And girls always kind of would always talk to me, even back then when I was lame as hell. Girls still like me, and women would come up to me, "Hey, how you doing? What do you?" And then my white colleagues will pounce on it. No, 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 no. You don't want to talk to her, man. Or, hey, no, no, don't worry about him. My name is such and such. So I wonder now, is that what that was? Like, oh no,
Yeah,
Al ain't supposed to be having no pussy. That pussy belongs to me. Al is a slave.
I
Excuse my
believe it
French.
is. I mean, I wasn't there, but it sounds very familiar. I mean, it really does. All we're saying is, hey, we're enjoying genealogy too. Look, I found this famous relative. Oh, hey, my grand. Oh, you don't have a grandmother. Shut up. You came on a slave ship. Ah, we tore all your family. They freak the hell out. We know our grandparents, and we have all kinds of records all the way back. I feel like I met my ancestors that I never knew. I could see their personalities coming through in some of the documents that I found. So it's an enjoyable hobby. Genealogy is a very enjoyable hobby. It can be tedious and give you a headache and you hit brick walls, but the rewards are a lot of fun, especially if you share it with your family. You have somebody looking for this relative and have another one looking for that one, and then it could really help because I did mine on my own while everybody mocked me and said I was dumb. Anyway,
Back
um,
back to the Pharaoh issue.
yeah,
I want to hit y'all with some scholarship right quick. Dr. Chancellor Williams, and I was saying this early, like nobody reads that damn book. In the Destruction of Black Civilization, a beautiful epic book um, of scholarship, Dr. Williams identifies that the Portuguese, the main slavers of the transatlantic slave trade, were looking for a very specific group of people, the people he called the Bouchon people. But after my own research, I think those were descendants of the Egyptians, the Kemetic people, because of why Dr. Chancellor Williams said the Portuguese were looking for him. The Portuguese were sent on a mission to look for these specific group of people in Africa and in West Africa who were actually East African, who knew how to build things. They knew how to build buildings. They knew how to make inventions. Well, according to Dr. Williams, sometime thousands of years prior, these people lived in what is now known as Egypt, and they were ran out of Egypt at knife point by Alexander. I don't want to call that motherfucker great. Okay, I'm gonna call him great. He was great at raping helpless little children and murdering people. That's why he was great. Well, Alexander and his raccoon, Cletus Nagra, who later killed his ass, um, ran Kemites out of Kemet, and they ran east. Some ran to the mountains. We know them as the Dogon people. They're still there. It was a good move. They didn't get conquered until like a couple years ago. The Muslims are giving them a hard time. Apparently, Muslims are going to the Dogon. Muslim Arabs are going to the Dogon and saying convert, convert, and they're like, no, 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 we don't believe in any of that. And they're like, convert. It's almost like the whole Muhammad or die thing from back thousands of years ago, but that's another space, another place. um well, the rest of us that didn't run to the mountains of Mali, um were scattered across West Africa where we took up refuge. According to Dr. Chancellor Williams, we took up refuge in West Africa, made refugee camps where we made things, we made buildings, we made gadgets, and the West Africans hated us for it. Dr. Chancellor Williams said that the West Africans were jealous of us over there. Ladies and gentlemen, does that sound familiar? Anyway, um, the
Very much so.
yeah, his name shit changed. When the Portuguese arrived, the West Africans, according to Dr. Chancellor Williams, sold us like fucking Snicker bars to the Portuguese, and that's how we ended up here. But what I'm trying to let y'all know is they were looking for us. They knew exactly who they were trying to get. They were looking for a group of former Kemetic people to build the new world order for them. You see, ladies and gentlemen, they did not know how to build the goddamn United States of America they wanted. They needed us to do it. So they kidnapped us to do it. That's why we're called foundational goddamn Americans. You understand me? Land my plane.
Now, I sent you a message about the spelling of something. Could you check the X DMs?
Got it. Hold on one second, Wani. I always it's Bouchon. I'm gonna go get his book. I always forget the spelling. I think it's B.
Okay.
Talk for a minute. Let me look for it.
Okay. So, as far as the African kingdoms go, the kingdoms that sold their own people, some of them sold them because they were challenging their authority. So, say you had two brothers, one of them was a prince, and he didn't want the other brother to become king, he would sell the other brother away. So, they sold their family members because they were challenging the throne. um, they also had something called high status captives. That means, royal people and people of importance that they caught. They sold their relatives that were not challenging the throne, but they just didn't like them. Say you're a king and you have a cousin you don't like, pump them in the on the slave ship. And they sold rival kings and queens and anyone that they could get, and military prisoners, and they put them on into the transatlantic slave trade. And there are a lot of authors that have covered this. I'm not going to read them all, but we definitely have the bloodline from uh, royalty in Africa, in various parts of Africa. Remember, a lot of African kingdoms participated within this. African kingdoms and empires from Central Africa and West Africa. They participated in this activity, even if they're not really famous on the West Coast. They still participated. So now we have genetics from royalty in West Africa. We have genetics from royalty with the Egyptians, and we have uh, genetics with royalty from the Europeans that held us, because remember, who else is going to have all these plantations and land? but people that are wealthy. Some of them royals, some of them just rich um, nobles and appointed people. So that's very interesting background to have. Not saying we don't have commoners, because like I went over it before, yes, a lot of ship captains came over with their African wives. There are a lot of people with Portuguese ship captain lineage, and a lot of these people, they had different types of results. Some people, their fathers made sure they had freedom papers and they never were enslaved. Other people lived with their enslaved family members and thought it was normal to have a bunch of children and have them enslaved. Um, but there were different responses by different people. French people had a way of dealing with the enslaved, and it seemed like it had more it seemed like the French people were more humanitarian, if you want to say, with their marriages, but they were still disrespectful and abusive. So I don't know. And then there's plenty of cases of them being weird and sadistic as well. So I just really don't know. I'm just in the middle on who was the worst slave owner.
Well, Wani, I found it. I found the book and I found the page and I read it again with a little bit more understanding and just bust out laughing on the inside because I understood why nobody knows this term. Like nobody knows Bouchons, including me. I'm like, where did that come from? And it's Bushoongs. Well, let me read this little passage to give context.
Oh, could you spell it again?
Um, B Bravo, um, U Samuel Hotel Oscar Nancy Gangus Samuel.
Thank you.
Well, what's really funny is I read that somehow this hit me different when I read it, but it says, where'd it go? Da, 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 da. One of these wandering groups, unlike the Congolese and Angolans, began to migrate from the Atlantic seaboard before the whites arrived, was free from contacts with them much longer, therefore founded a new nation that lasted much longer. The core group was made up of blacks who came to be known as the Bouchons. So I get it now. It was the Egyptians, but the Egyptians were the Kemites were on the run and they came up with a fictitious name. Don't we do that? That's Lil Earl, man. Lil Earl, Lil Daryl, what's your real name? What's your government name? Don't we do that?
Stop it. Stop it.
I just it
It's
just da-
hilarious.
it just dawned on me. That's why Chancellor Wood he said came to be known as the Bouchon. It was a fucking Kemites. They knew people were after them. So they said, "Man, call yourself." I ain't no Kemite. I'm a Bouchon. God damn it.
So they number in 17,000. They speak Bouchon, a Bantu language, and they live in southeastern Congo.
Wow. He said they were moving from place to place towards the interior. Yeah, that's where he said they ended up. Yeah, you got it, Awani, because he said they were headed towards the Congo region. It says fleeing from the whites was not their only problem. So they were running away from white people. They're running away from Alexander the Great. They finally made it to the Congo, but they're from Egypt. In the Congo, they met an original raccoon class I wrote about in my book called the Jaga. There's a group of you ever heard of Jaga warriors?
No.
Jaga. Jim Alpha Genghis Alpha. The Jaga were the original raccoons. So it was a whole fucking tribe in Africa called the Jaga who would wait on the Europeans or some other raider to come through. Then they would make a deal with them. Hey, you want me to go catch some Africans for you? Give me some weapons and I'll go catch some Africans for you. Sometimes we are our worst enemy, I tell you. Anyway, what's going on, Stacey?
Hey, first of
Actually,
all, oh, go ahead.
there was someone else first.
Oh,
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 I'll
yeah,
go
you're
first.
right. It was Mr. IPA. I'm sorry. What got you, Stacey? But Mr. IPA, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's poppin', y'all?
Not much, bro.
Uh, I was just gonna ask, y'all feel like we going through a black renaissance right now? Like
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
the global consciousness is at all time high for our folks, man. I love to see it,
It's
man.
peaking. It's going through the roof, and they can't handle it. They don't know what to do, and I love it. That was all you had, Mr. IPA.
Shoot, he left. He said what he had to say and left.
Black
Go ahead, Stacy.
Renaissance, and that's it. Biatches.
Biatch, Miss Stacy.
Peace, I'm out. Go ahead,
Go
Joe.
ahead.
You guys are funny. So I'm whispering again because I'm at work.
Okay.
But hey, first I want to ask you, Professor, did you get my message in the inbox that I sent yesterday?
Oh no, I had a busy day, so I'll look at it right now. Hold on 1 second.
Okay. Okay. And then I was just gonna say, real quick, when you guys were talking about how they hate when we say we're something or whatever, like we can't be happy. You ever notice that even when we are going through hard times and we create something or we do something and we find some way to just even through all the crap still find a way something to be happy about, they still hate that?
Okay. You know what, Stacy? I was wondering. I just that makes perfect sense. Yeah, I'm about to do that now. Matter of fact, could you tell that person to DM it to me?
Well, I didn't want it was a surprise. I didn't want
Oh,
her to
oh,
know. It was
got you,
like I was
got
going.
you,
I
got you.
said I had asked you to ask her because I wanted to remain anonymous.
God, that was really
It
cool of
was
you to
just a
do,
gift.
but I'll handle it. Let me.
Oh,
Oh
okay. I
wow.
mean, if you want me to, I will.
No,
But
no, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
okay,
All right.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. Where were we? That's beautiful. I love
I
our
was just
people.
saying. I was just saying. Do you notice how even when people are going through, even when we are going through something, they still don't want us to be happy. Like we find a way to make ourselves happy no matter what we're going through, and they still get mad. They hate that. They hate to see us happy.
Yeah, well, Stacy, what I'm finding, I've been on this long journey of discovery, just reading my everywhere I go, like books follow me around. People are sick and tired of book. Like, why in the fuck? I'm in the bed with my lady, and she's like, why in the fuck are there books in the bed? You know, but like I've done some, and years, and then rereading. Sometimes you have to read stuff over and over again and get an understanding. Like just now with Wani, I just now figured out, oh, that's what Chancellor meant. These were Kemites. These were the Egyptians running away from the Portuguese, running away from Alexander the Great and the Europeans, because the Europeans were abducting them. I knew that, and torturing them until they told them secrets and shit. So it made sense. That's what we do. We are them. What do? We come up with aliasness. What's your name, little man? What's your real name, man? I ain't telling you my government name. We still got that tactic. But that's what Bouchon came from. We ain't telling you I'm Egyptian, motherfucker. What you go so you can find out what I know. But the reason why I brought that up, Stacey, is what I figured out. What's starting to dawn on me is this. Yeah, I'm getting a full picture. That's why they needed us to build America, because we built Egypt, and that's why America is built off of the blueprint of Egypt. Look at your goddamn dollar bill. Flip it around. That's why it has all that Egyptian iconography on it. It's because the European wanted to do he wanted his chance at having an Egypt, and we call that shit the United States of goddamn America. And the only problem is we've had amnesia, but we don't know more.
Now, on the topic of does academia hide this?
Oh
Yes,
boy.
because they're not going to, they're not going to even admit that they were involved in slavery. So, first you have to get them to admit that. Then they're going to say nobody that, there's no one alive that was participating in it. There's no one related to those people. Those people are ghost people, according to them. Just like the people that sold the slaves, that's a ghost tribe. It has nothing to do with the people there now, according to them, because they changed the names of the countries. So we're dealing with both groups saying that. just some ghosts did these atrocities to us, and there's no remnant of those people or actual ancestors of the people alive today, which we know is false. So they hide that, and then they'll say these things didn't happen. And then you say, wait a minute, why is it that we have these English haplogroups on the male side showing the paternal line is going to Europe? Oh no, they have that over there. They it's just nonstop lying and gaslighting. But then their researchers do put out the information, but the general public fights it, kicks it, and screams. There was okay, so in terms of the African selling royalty, then they will switch into the we was kings narrative to mock us and make us feel like that's not possible. But yes, academia hides it, just like with the case of the Native American. They decided politically that they're going to bestow the title of Native American on some recent people that came from Siberia. I don't know why, but they did decide that. And then when you try to dig up someone, when you find someone here that's supposedly Native American in quotation marks, and you reconstruct the face, and the face looks like a little black lady, they go into a tailspin. Oh no, that's the way you can't go by that. Oh no, the measurements are wrong. They start freaking out. So every time they dig up something older, it never looks like the people they're trying to attribute that look to. And then they'll say, well, that's the way their features were then. No, it's another group of people, and they're hiding that as well. The Luzia and all of these other people that they dug up that are anywhere from 30 to 10,000 years old, they don't look like the people that you see on those reservations, and they know it. So they're going to have to come up with some other lie because you have some honest archaeologists and people that do reconstructions, and then you have this political arm comes out and snatches all the research away and declares everybody crazy and says, oh, we can't measure it that way. They'll literally say, I heard this directly to my face. I was told that you cannot determine the race of the person by looking at their skeleton.
Yes, you
That was
can.
actually
You look at
that
the bone structure on
that
the
was
nose.
actually said to my face after training me to measure all these things in school, eye sockets, nose bridges, lengths of nose, body parts. You're supposed to measure these things to determine the person's race. What do we think that forensics files is doing? What are they doing? They find a skeleton and they measure it and they say this person comes from Asian descent, and then they they go a little bit deeper and they say, well, this is more consistent with a Chinese person and not as consistent with a Native American person. They look at everything, teeth, noses, the whole bit. So they tell me to my face that we can't determine the race of a person by looking at the skeleton when we're talking about finding someone who doesn't look Native American when we dig them up in this land. And then they'll flip around and say, oh, yeah, we can tell the race of the person. If my head falls off of my body and they find it 3 years ago or 3 years later in the woods, they're going to know what I look like. They're going to know I'm black. The end. And they're going to know what kind of black I am. They're going to know I'm a North American, Black American woman. Point blank. And they know that. So I don't know why they're lying. We had an FBI person to come to one of our classes, and he said if he did a reconstruction on the Sphinx face, it would he would be looking for an African man. He said if I had to he said if the Sphinx face committed a crime and fell off in the woods, I'd be looking for a man of African descent. So let's stop playing games. We definitely can tell, and you can't dig up anybody that looks like Native Americans or Mexicans or white when we're talking about 10,000 and in 30,000 years. They're going to have traits that are not consistent with them. And that's the end of the story. They can try to change the rules. They can say, oh, no, that's Cro Magnon. Oh, no, we didn't mean it like that. You can't judge it. That was part Neanderthal. They have done gymnastics to get out of this. But they caught themselves up because we have the DNA. Um, on all of these people. We have the skeletons on a lot of these people, and they really can't get away with it anymore. They're just going to have to start fessing up, or they're going to look insane like they're looking now.
Wow.
Yeah, you can't dig something up that just didn't exist, that wasn't even made at that time.
I'm blowing my own mind with this space. Dots have connected in my. This one of the moments in Professor Allen's mind where everything connects. I get it. This is actually kind of dangerous. I know what this is about. I know what our situation is, and all the stars have aligned. God damn, Mr. X. Are FBAs related to pharaohs and English kings? And does academia hide this goddamn motherfucking bullshit?
So I mean, yeah, we obviously share a haplogroup with King Ramses. And there are uh obviously what they would call sub-Saharan Africans in Egypt before um it got invaded. Um, so the answer is yeah, we do have a relation to the ancient Egyptians. Um, and the same reason academia has this is the same reason that they tell you that everybody was living in mud huts when they went to Africa, when that obviously wasn't the case. They're just liars, and they'll do anything to to get power and resources. So if that means, messing your whole mentality up and taking your whole life away from you, they don't really care. Um, so to answer both of those questions, yeah. But I wanted to ask Wani, because this is something that I haven't been able to get over. Um, because you just touched on it. You talked about how these skulls will be Negro skulls, but then they'll say the DNA is Native American, just like they do with Cheddarman, right? Um, they'll say he had a Mediterranean haplogroup, like, but he looked phenotypically dark in skin tone. So my thing is that's what I was talking about on the in the other space when we were talking about matching the DNA with the ancient Hebrews. Like, how do you tell when they're lying, and how do you know when to go off of it or not? Because that's what I'm saying. Like, this you have to be able to kind of um I
No, I hear
you got
you
to
doing
choose one. Is
you're
the
doing
point I'm saying.
fine. You're doing fine. You gotta like
I
it's so
think I,
confusing, you know.
I think I have an advantage in that area because I could see the skull and I can see what's going on with. I don't have to reconstruct it to see that it's not Native American and it's not Siberian origin. The average person might not be able to do so, but it's frustrating when you're looking at something and they're just lying to your face and trying to tell you, okay, you could say the skeleton didn't catch up with the DNA changes. You could say that, okay, the DNA changes and all the adaptions and things make this person now an indigenous American or make this person whatever they're trying to make them. But the skeleton is what people are reacting to. That's what explorers are saying. We saw some black Indians over here. They're reacting to what they're seeing. They're not doing DNA tests on people when they were exploring back in the 16, 17, 1800s. So when they said that they saw someone black, um, over here in the New World, This is what they were talking about. And they already admitted that there's two founding populations, one of Aboriginal descent and one of Siberian descent, but it doesn't even matter because anybody who walked across that bridge from the Bering Strait, anybody who got into a canoe and skipped some islands and got here is not going to look like Native Americans that you might find on a reservation. It didn't exist. They're not going to look white. It didn't exist. So it doesn't even matter which ones they're talking about, but we're talking about the fact that these people have other things that are not consistent with modern day Native Americans, and it's more consistent with Aboriginal people. And they will admit that in pieces and bits and pieces, just enough under the radar to save face and not look like idiots in the future, but not loud enough to disrupt the status quo, which is that Native Americans were here first. There was no Black Indians, and blah, 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 blah. They want to keep that narrative, even though they've already put out reports saying that there's two founding populations. They still, it's like they're doing some sort of dual brain, dual reality in archaeology right now.
So like, what would your response be to like the lose your DNA? Because like when I'm trying to put everything together, I just can't. Based on the information that's out there, and just looking at it, I can't honestly bring myself to believe that we were the same people as them, just simply due to the fact that we have majority, quote unquote, African DNA, and if that was us, we should have more Native American than African DNA.
Well, it depend. The reason why, let me help with that too. So if I was related to this woman, Luzia, who was around 15,000 years ago, it's not going to show up on 23andMe. These are going to be more like ancient connections, and that's a whole nother test. That's what it is. It's like they basically say that your 23andMe is showing the last 200 years. It actually shows more like 4 or 500 years, but it's basically not showing the full profile of your ancient lineages. We have um, lineages in the foreground and we have lineages in the background. Black Americans have a whole lot of lineages based on the fact that we have a lot of diversity from the ethnogenesis that happened here. But on top of that, because we have all that diversity from the ethnogenesis, that means that we have even, a lot of ancient lineages happening in the background that we have to piece together, because we don't have the benefit of that showing up on 23andMe and all those modern tests that we can use, but they do show up. As you could see, our men are being notified that they're related to King Ramses III.
Preach.
Now that's not 23andMe's um it's not their DNA profile, but they have done some deeper research into our paternal lines and maternal lines. And we're not the only ones that get notifications. Like I said, other people get notifications. Hey, you're related to Napoleon. Cool, that's great. Or hey, you're related to Charlemagne. Or hey, you're related to the Queen of England. Whatever. Other people get notifications too, but they seem to have a problem when we get them. And we should be getting them on everything because we have a lot of things going on.
Yeah, and back to Wani's earlier point, this shit getting so hot, I had to bust out J.A. Rogers, his heavy gun time. According to J.A. Rogers, sub point 16, on the presence of the quote on the presence of the Negro in America before Columbus, C.C. Marquez says, he's a Spanish conquistador. He says, quote, the Negro type is seen in the most ancient Mexican sculpture. The Negroes figure frequently in the most remote traditions of some of the American pueblos. It is to this race doubtlessly belongs to the most ancient skeletons of the very distant structure of the two red American races, the Archeolocos and the Ethnographicos. Um, Professor R.B. Dixon emphasizes the fact that there was an early Negro strain in Rhode Island, Massachusetts. You hear this, Wani? R.B. Dixon, professor, in his book Racial History of Mankind, now I gotta buy it. He says that there was an early Negro strain in Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Central American Indians. Damn, dude, that makes me wonder if those black folks,
Wait,
huh?
Central American Indian?
That's what he says.
Wait, say that again.
Um,
The
Professor
person showed up in Rhode Island?
Dixon, Professor R.B. Dixon, in his book, he claims that he emphasizes, I'm sorry, the fact that there was an early Negro strain in Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Central American Indians.
Oh, okay. I thought you said a Central American in Rhode Island.
Oh,
Okay. Did he say what year?
no, but I could find that. Yeah, he did. Yeah, it's 1920. That's
Oh,
the day the book was published, I
you
think.
mean, oh, wait a minute.
No, no, no. He doesn't say the year he saw that. He doesn't say that.
The strain, he doesn't know the
No,
year of the strain.
no, but I'll see you. I'll send you where to look because J. Rogers has a book citation. Yeah,
Okay, great.
Racial History of Mankind page. He gave the page number 400, 401, 409, 441, and 449. J. Rogers also says Columbus said, "quote He wanted to find out what the Indians had told him that there had come to it from the south and southeast Negro peoples." Man, we've been here. We've been here.
They keep talking about it, so that's why we're talking about it. Here's another thing that's annoying. These, I will say, not corrupt archaeologists, mostly white, will just tell the truth. They'll say, "Hey, these Olmec heads look like Negroes." He said, "This isn't a scientific uh, proof, but the face is the face. What are you going to do about it? These people don't look like the people down here, point blank. They brought it up. They brought it up. They bring it up all the time." And then when we say, hey, yeah, those guys do look like they're of African descent, that's when their attack dog public starts going in, being angry. Mexicans saying, no, that's us, and showing us a fat-headed Mexican boy to prove something. That's when they all start going ham. And it's like, what is your problem? We didn't even bring this up. You brought it up. I mean, the researchers brought it up. And the only thing that they can say, and actually, when I was there, a native person, an indigenous individual, is the one who said, hey, look at this. They're always doing this in these places. I want to point that out. They every time there is somebody in a place, which is every time, that looks to be of African descent, the historian that I'm with points it out. Hey, look at these cornrows on the Buddha. Look at his nose. Look at the Olmec. Look at these braids over here in Bath, England. These are cornrows. They're pointing this out. Look at these braids over here in Bolivia. Look at this. Look at that. They are telling me about it. They're involving me. Oh, you look like this Egyptian woman. Hint, hint, hint. They're the ones doing it. And then when we respond and say, yeah, you're kind of right, then they lose their minds. This is what I've experienced.
Well, Wani, and today is like a unveiling type shit for me, my friend. I found something else in J. Rogers' book that I didn't see before. J. Rogers, subpoint 17. J. Rogers says, quote, the presence of the Negro race, brace yourself, Wani. J. Rogers says, the presence of the Negro race of Africa perhaps did not originate there, but Asia and Oceania. The earliest inhabitants of Africa were not black, but brown. Stop right there. That confirms what you said about the Khoisan. The Khoisan are brown. Listen to this. J. Rogers further says, today the peoples of mixed and unmixed Negro descendant living in Asia and Oceania probably exceeded in number to the present Negro population of Africa. India has millions of Negroes. J. Rogers says, quote, the purest Negro types are in Southern Asia. In 1923, Dr. Joseph Rock, a United States Department of Agriculture, discovered a hereto unknown Negro race, the Nakis. That's Nakhis. You ever heard of them?
No.
Whoa. He says the Nakis. 200,000
Spell
in
that again. Could you spell that again? Nakhes.
Nancy Alpha Kappa Hotel India Samuel.
So is it possible if we get a full genome scan, we could see these?
Wani? I don't know. That's
Um,
one question.
It's
you
C
mean these
Capone.
other Negroes we're talking about?
Yeah, just like the ancient DNA. Like it's supposed to give you like the totality of your DNA.
You can, there's two ways to do it. You can do, well, a whole genome DNA test is more sensitive than the 23andMe. And then they have that, I think it's Jed Match, and it shows ancient connections or ancient ancestry. There's a few of them that do that. Can you spell that again? I'm sorry. That
No, this is
Nancy
deep.
Notches.
No, it's Nancy Alpha Kappa Hotel India Samuel.
I can't find anything.
Exactly. He says the Nakis people, the Nakis, 200,000 in number in southern China. Take that.
Oh, okay. That's the people. I know who that is. Negritos.
Oh, wow. He says in 1934, UWP Chimney, no, sorry, Chinnery, discovered an unknown Negro people in New Guinea near Australia. He,
Negritos.
he reports that they have a civilization superior to their neighbors who live under white rule.
Wait, where is it? Where are they located again?
In New Guinea near Australia.
Papua New Guinea?
He didn't specify
They don't have a civilization, though.
that we know of. J. Rogers said they did. He gave somebody you can look up, EWP Chinnery. That's Chinnery. J. Rogers be bussing, boy.
Excuse me.
So, oh, go ahead.
Salutations, everybody. Just wanted to know what book you're
Wait,
reading
wait a
from.
minute. Wait a minute. I don't want to go out of turn. C Capone is next to speak. So can we just let C Capone speak? And then we'll go in order of whoever had their hands raised or when they got on stage. Thank you. Go ahead, C Capone. Come off your mic, C Capone, please.
I'm in the loud area right now. Go ahead, sis. Miss Stacy. I'm in the loud area.
Okay.
Go ahead. But I
Hey,
just wanted to go to
Capone.
bring up Wani's point.
What up,
Remember the
Capone?
Iceman they found? Hey, what's going on, Professor? Remember the Iceman they found 5,000 years ago? Said he had dark skin, dark hair, but then on the news, they put a white man up.
That
No, but I believe you. I missed that atrocity.
sounds about right.
Okay, so the people, yeah, so there was an area called Sunderland, and the Negritos were the first people in Southeast Asia, and that was probably earlier, but we'll say 50,000 years. They also were in um, southern China, and that's who the Chinese were always complaining about. The barbarians in the south are going to do this and do that, and they're not doing what we want them to do, blah, 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 after they moved them down to the south. right? They were hostile toward these people, wrote about them all the time, called them little dwarfs, and all this other stuff. And the same thing in Taiwan, they killed them. They found them in a cave. They found these negritos in a cave after the archaeologists said, "Oh no, that celebration of the little black person or the little dwarf, they have different names, but every year they have a celebration of the little black person, and it's to mourn the loss of them killing this man." Uh, but they found a woman. I think it was a man and a woman. They're Negritos over there on that island, and they are not the same ethnicity as the people that are there. But those people have their core ethnicity. So all of these people in the conversation, they still have these remnants of the Negrito, and they're called Austronesians. The Negrito is what you would call a proto Austronesian. Austronesian has been, they have more of the DNA that's not Negrito, to make it easy. Um, but these Negritos, they went down and they populated a lot of these islands in Oceania, Polynesian islands, Melanesian islands. And Micronesian islands. They were the first people there. And then the other people that we call Austronesians came down way, way later, like tens of thousands of years later, to get on those islands. So people like the Maori people that you see, they're not as old as the Negritos. And some of them outnumbered Negritos. And so when you look at the people, they look lighter skinned. And then some of the islands, you look at the people, they look like people you might find in Australia. Um, the Australians look like big Negritos, and they have a slightly different path. Apparently, they came out of Africa. They spent a lot of time in Eurasia. They got mixed with Neanderthal and Denisovan, and they made their way down to a patch of land which was all connected. It was Tasmania, Papua New Guinea, and Australia were all one chunk. And you can see how they made their way down there. Um, and then when the water rose, those three places were separated. So they developed slightly different cultures. Um, they too, they look like Negritos, but they're different and they have a different migration route as well.
Yep. Can y'all hear me? I don't know if my mute.
Yes.
Yeah, so according to J.A. Rogers, Negroes lived in America thousands of years before Columbus. Central American monuments saw numerous carvings of them as gods. When Columbus came to the New World, Negroes had been crossing from Africa to South America at a distance of 1,600 miles. The first white man to reach the American mainland tell of seeing Negroes. Columbus, who visited South America, said that he had heard of them there. This is our shit, man.
This our
And
shit, man.
and so they may play games with the names and say, "Oh, well, this is a Siberian person, or this is a." Well, actually, they have admitted there's two founding populations, so they do play games with the name, and they do. These names are not in sync with the way the person looks, and just like when the Pan Africans were trying to sweep all the Negritos under the umbrella, I saw that some people from there said, "Hey, don't try to wash my ethnicity away. I am a Negrito." Yep, tens of thousands of years we may have left Africa, but we're different now. We've adapted. We have different names. We have different customs, and we don't have anything to do with Africa. So they they have a very distant relationship with Africa, to be honest.
According to J.A. Rogers, they may not even be from Africa. Talking all this Africa talk, Mother
Um,
Africa. J.A. Rogers said they could be from Africa, from Asia.
well, yeah, I mean, I can't say yes or no to that right now. but we don't really know what the earth looked like before, and we don't know everything. We know what we found, the oldest people in East Africa and with the Khoisan in South Africa. We know what we found so far, but we don't know what we're going to find in the future.
Facts.
Professor Wani. Sorry, Professor Sister Wani. Yeah, the guy that said it's an Otzi, 5,000 years, 10,000
Hmm.
years old. He was found in North America. Dark skin, dark hair, and then they have a picture of a white man next to him as a caveman. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I've heard of Otzi.
Hey, quick, right quick. Queen Nene, if you can hear me, Queen Nene, do me a favor and check your DMs. Check your DM. It's important. And respond, please. Uh, what's up, Cheryl?
Hi, how you doing?
Cheryl, I might have skipped over the black receipt.
Okay. Okay.
Black receipt. You put your hand down. You still want to talk?
Oh, Miss Stacy can go. I can go after her.
Okay, go ahead, Cheryl.
Um, I have learned so much by listening to this channel, and I hear a lot about the Aboriginals that were here. My father, his side is Blackfoot, and I have tried to find information on Blackfoot, but I haven't been able. Do you know anything about? We're from Virginia. I live in here in Atlanta, but I'm originally from Virginia.
I got a lot of that information is hidden because my mom and them is Black Creek. But I got some old fucking books, and I got an old book that talks about that, but I keep it under lock and key. So
Oh,
just stay tuned. We're gonna address that in a little while because that's information. To my understanding, that what they did to our ancestors is put them amalgamated them all up under the auspices of Negro. So we all became black. You know.
right.
There's an article called The Other Blackfoot because Blackfoot is a tribe in Montana. And obviously, no Montana person just galloped over here to have sex with our ancestors in the South and then trottled on back. So there's another one called, there's an article called The Other Blackfoot. Blackfoot identifications in east of the Mississippi and the Piedmont Sudan of Virginia and North Carolina. So I'm just going to post this. Maybe this might be a clue because there's multiple people. This is another problem. Names are killing us. People taking on names, and I think I listed them before, like all of the names that triracial people were called. And some of the names they just made up. Like they just said, we're Portuguese, we're Turkish, we're Moors,
Mhm.
just because they felt that they could avoid persecution by doing that. And I think with this Blackfoot tribe, they just took the name Blackfoot when that wasn't their original name. And
Oh,
but they have another name. It's called um, Saponi and some other names. Blackfoot of the Seneca, Mingo. I'll just put it in the chat.
Yeah, because I was
okay.
always taught that that's where my father's family was from.
Yeah, I was reading something. I was trying to see if I wanted to be petty, but I'm not gonna be petty. I'm not gonna do it. All
Yeah.
Why not?
right,
Yeah,
all right,
because
all right. Fine.
oh, okay. I dropped down. I dropped
Since
down.
we talking about slavery, according to J. Rogers, white children were kidnapped in the British Isles at the rate of several thousand in the year 17 in the 17th and 18th centuries and sold into slavery in America and the West Indies. Sometimes they were bootlegged and sold as Negroes. White Americans, um, North and South, were also kidnapped and seduced and sold as Negroes in the late 1859. One of the most celebrated cases of a white person sold as a Negro was Sally Muller, who was held in servitude in Louisiana for 26 years. Court after court ruled against her. Finally, her birth certificate was dug up in Germany, where she was freed by the Supreme Court in 1818. Why don't we know about this? Reason why I brought that up, I want to be petty. Damn you for putting us in a system of oppression when you was a slave too. Damn it. This is about
She was a German immigrant and an indentured servant born to non enslaved parents. Now, how on earth did they have this German woman all mixed up in this? I mean, I can see her being a servant, but not standing on an auction block naked.
I don't know, Wani.
How did they sell? I have never seen a white person on an auction block naked. So I need to see that before I, you know, go along with their tales of woe.
Facts. I love the way that was played. I love the way that was said.
Hey Wani, stand by.
Oh Lord, no, I don't need to see no white women on an auction block. Maybe you're gonna get some harem pictures. They might have put those harem women up there. I don't
Check
know.
the jumbotron.
Oh no, I'm scared to look.
I
Is
don't know.
this some kind of ancient porn we're looking
Yuck.
at?
Yuck.
I don't have the ancient porn. No, it's a the caption. She's a slave.
Mm-hmm.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
Drawings.
It says they're
You got any billboards that says nice Germanic slave for sale?
uh
Some flyers that say these people are for sale because there's a lot of them with us for sale, different grades. We've got a Creole over here. We've got a old world African. We have a Black American. We had different varieties
like
on the flyer.
Skittles.
Yeah, different varieties on the flyer. Do I see any flyers that say Slavic woman for sale, Germanic broad over here, Polak, huh?
Nah.
Anything like that?
Would a slave be posing like that? I mean, we all have
Maybe
eyes and
she's
can
trying
see.
to hook up with somebody.
Yeah,
Mm.
Ain't
is
that a
she trying to
harem,
say she's
girl?
a black? Is she trying to say she's a
Mm-hmm.
black slave?
She
Oh, she's
does.
definitely a slave.
Jay Rogers had a caption. Maybe I need to take a picture of the caption and give it more context. Because you're right, Wani. It does look like some type of ancient porn. Hold on.
Don't like she was nothing but a hoe to me.
Yeah, isn't that a harem slave?
This looks like a eunuch guarding a white woman in a harem. Who is this? Who are these people?
I got you. Hold on.
For sure, that's a eunuch. For sure.
If that's a
He's
Moor,
They
guarding
would
she's
never
people
let a
definitely a
black
slave.
man that
spot.
close to her. You can't have no penis and be that close to a Germanic woman.
Is that a Moor, Professor?
Well, I'm
Yep.
putting the caption. Check the jumbotron now. I think it says that he's enslaved too, and they're
He's yeah, he's got on Moorish clothing. We'll just say that.
they both.
Okay, so he's protecting the booty.
No, they're
Mm-hmm.
both enslaved. I think, according to this, but it's a picture, so it could be fictitious. Could be propaganda. Who knows?
But that's what they did. That's what the eunuchs did. They protected the harem.
That's true.
And they were both enslaved. I often wonder when those harem girls run off with the eunuch, what the hell was that all about? Never mind.
Oh yeah. How does that work? I got an interesting one for you guys. Let me know if y'all want the full article. This is kind of unrelated to today's topic, but Jay Rogers been blowing my motherfucking mind tonight. So let me shit.
No wonder my father had me reading those books all the time.
Jay Rogers is bussing tonight. Look at it.
It does spark the imagination.
Look at this shit. Check the jumbotron,
Makes
people.
makes you read further too.
Negro blood and Hitler's Aryans.
Are we talking about Hitler again?
J.A. Rogers did it.
Uh-huh. I'm about to
I
make
almost
jokes again.
I
We're gonna
almost
have all the
asked
white
y'all, could we talk
supremacists.
about Hitler tonight? I almost asked y'all that.
Oh,
Hitler the male prostitute.
oh, look, see, we're teaching people.
Okay, he was selling some of that pussy.
See,
And he put a little
That dramatic bus.
and but he put a little Negro blood in his Aryans too. They don't talk about that.
what is that? They are so wrong about this Aryan thing. These people need mental counseling. What is that? How are they pure white, but they came out of the 2 degrees away from Indo-European, out of Indo-Iranian, and then they said they were pure white, and now they're saying they're of African descent? What is wrong with these people?
Mm,
I don't know about pure white,
Maybe
more like pure troglodyte.
maybe they're a
Mm,
bunch of liars. I don't know.
I think that's it.
Lodging.
When it comes to history, you can only take some of it for face value. You have to look at the events that were going on. You have to look at what food was served, how people worked, how they lived. You can't just take it for face value because half of the history that the whites are putting out isn't even true.
It's called HIS, his story. I tell my students to look at that first part. It's his story, and it's warfare. It's used to promote a narrative for purposes of control. It's never meant to be the truth. Not at all.
F all black and
Most of the real artifacts are kept in personal collections
That's a
anyway.
fact.
Hmm. Yes, they are.
The pieces of the Sphinx's no the I hate saying Sphinx. The pieces of Horamak's nose is in personal collection. They won't even let that main nose be out in public.
The Sphinx?
Yeah, they're in personal collection.
Everybody know. Well, they should have knocked the whole jawline off because we can see exactly what's going on.
Now blew that main nose off and got it in private collection. Ivan Van Sertima knew where it was and told them to give it up. And they were like, "No, it's ours. It
Mm-hmm.
belongs to England
Mm-hmm.
somehow."
Well, it's not helping them. There's no man on the planet with that profile. None on the earth. There's no white man with the same profile as the Sphinx. So that's the end of that scam.
Mm-mm.
Hey, Professor, you know how you were saying earlier about, wait, hold on, let me think, was it you or was it Wani? I think was talking about, oh no, Wani, you were saying how they were lying, trying to say that they can't, there's no way to prove that bones, you can't tell a
Mhm.
race by the bones or whatever. So
Yeah.
I used to watch all those. I don't know if any of you guys saw this episode, but I used to watch like ID channel. And there was one episode where this lady had found some bones, and I think the dude tried to crush her face too. I can't remember, but they were like, "Oh, they found these bones. We were trying to find out who these belong to." So they did the reconstruction. Turned out they said, "Oh, it's a black lady," and her features when they finished with that reconstruction, they had nothing to go off of. They just used her bones, put them together, and did the whole molding clay reconstruction thing. And somebody, and they put several different kind of wigs on her, see what her hair what might have looked like, right? I mean, they had already figured it. I think, like she was African or basically a melanated immigrant, and
Hey, Stacy,
they,
Stacy, put a pin in that. Hold that thought right quick. We got a new speaker up, and then
okay, okay,
I miss fuck all whites hand, but I see a new speaker. So different. We're gonna go to different, then fuck all whites, and we'll come back to Stacy. Different. What's on your mind?
Hey, Wani. Hey, bro.
Hey.
What's up,
What's up,
man?
dude?
Hey, Wani. Hey, what up? Long time no see. Uh, the only thing, the only like what I wanted to talk about was my family history. On my mom's side and my dad's side, when it's like it was the oldest people in our family, and they did the research. On my dad's side, I had one ancestor that came from the Virginia slave ship, but everybody else was like reclassified as Negro. They were native. they didn't come from the slave ships, and it's documents of it. So it's definitely truth, like definitely strong truth for that. I feel like that it's a lot of stuff that's definitely being hidden. And I kind of mentioned this before, but like they also found ancient cities in Louisiana, like under New Orleans. It's an ancient like an ancient destroyed city with a destroyed pyramid with the same material that the pyramids is made out of. So it's definitely a lot of shit here that they're hiding. I hope eventually that it will come out because I would like to know, uh, but like to keep it 100, like the majority of us, it's all land. Like I got love for Africa, but I got love for Africa, but when it comes to North America, this is definitely our land. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, right on. Appreciate you different. We're gonna go to fuck all. What's on your mind, fuck all?
Professor Nikki, Wani. It's always a pleasure. Um, man, I had so many points because I've been in the last couple of rooms. But I'll just address um the most recent thing that the professor said about life in India. Um, so I was just gonna say the Manhattan Project, right? It was the development of the nuclear bomb, and Black Americans played a pivotal role in that development. And at the end of the development of the nuclear bomb, we have Oppenheimer's most famous quote, which says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." That quote originates from the Bhagavad Gita, which is a ancient Hindu script um, that originated in India. Um, and Hinduism is proven to be the oldest religion in the world. And basically, it came from a war that occurred where it said that one of the sides in the war developed a nuclear bomb. And when they developed that nuclear bomb, they said, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." So I just thought that was really interesting that there's a myth that the nuclear bomb was developed by black people initially, and then again it comes back around that black Americans had a hand in developing the next nuclear bomb, or the first nuclear bomb, if you want to refer to it as that. Um, and I think I already made my point about how they keep a lot of our artifacts locked up in personal collections, and they only show us the things that they want to show us. Um, and I put in the Jumbotron another recent finding that they have found. I don't know if they found this finding before or after Lucia, but it's another one of the oldest bones in America, and it pretty much proves that the first people to settle the Americas were black people. They refer to them as a couple different names. First they say African, but then they say Aboriginal Melanesian. Um, that's one of the those are a couple of the points I wanted to make. I don't want to get too deep into. I don't want to throw the room off course, but I'll just state a couple of facts. So they tell us that life developed in Africa, right? But they also tell us that the first civilization was the Indus Valley civilization. So life started in Africa, but the first civilization was the Indus Valley civilization, right? But when we try to figure out who those people were in the Indus Valley civilization, if you ask if they're black, they don't want to. No articles, no sources of material want to admit that those people were black people. I mean, who else could they have been other than black people? So I just thought that was very interesting. Kind of relating it back to one of the rooms that you guys had before when you were talking about cow and bull worship. Funny enough, India has one of the oldest breeds of cow in the world, and the worshiping of the cows actually started in India, and then it transferred to the Indus Valley, where it switched from worshiping a cow, which is a female, to worshiping a bull, which is a male. And then it transferred to the to the Levant, where you had a lot of people who, a lot of those people, they were split up into different names: Israelites, Moabites, Edomites, but they all had one thing in common: they all worshiped the cow and the bull. And then it went to Egypt, uh, where the cow was the was pretty much said to be where life originated from. Um, the primordial waters and the Agdad. I don't know if you've heard of the Agdad before, but the Agdad, the eight primordial gods, were said to have originated from a cow. So I'll land my plane
Okay, I just wanted to say that the Khoisan also have a form of bull worship. So theirs is the oldest. The oldest religion is not exactly known, but Hinduism is very old. Um, Mesopotamia is supposed to be the oldest civilization, but then they found that um, they feel that it's now Gobekli Tepe. So I guess we don't really know right
Yeah,
now.
Gobekli Tepe is like it's fucking the game up real bad, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
It's destroying careers because people stake their whole career on. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like what?
And then what you were saying about there was a nuclear explosion over there. They did have something going on um, that people cannot understand. They had all the symptoms of radiation poisoning, and the ground shows signs of radiation. And things are, what do you call that? Melded together in no other, it can't be any other way but radiation explosions, nuclear explosions to cause that type of vitrification. So, yeah, something went on over there, and the Nazis went right over there to build that wonder weapon. They went right to that literature. Now, here's where things get tricky. Um, that knowledge is attributed to Hindu people, but we don't know where these people are getting their knowledge from. It's always from some earlier group. And that's what it is. If we keep going back earlier and earlier, we're going to run into you know who. And so they can keep putting these Indian faces on things. Again, remember, the Negritos populated parts of India, Southeast Asia, parts of India, and then we already know going down further south. So a lot of this ancient information is always going to end up and be in the hands of some sort of person that you would say is black, quotation marks. It's never going to be in the hands of some of the people that it's attributed to. And that's what we have to deal with all the time. These names are these labels and names are always used to remove that information from the original group.
Yeah, and so the gentleman talked about the nuclear explosion. Look up Mohenjo-daro. There's a city right now in Mohenjo. It's near Pakistan, and there's proof of a damn atomic blast there with bodies that um basically still got meat on them that are thousands of years old that the animals didn't eat them. Well, why? If you go over 'em with a Geiger counter, their radiation is higher than background radiation. The place is radioactive. So somebody had a nuclear weapon 5,000 years ago, and we don't know how.
and I was gonna respond to you, Wani. Funny enough, the Indian government actually admits, and they actually have a museum on this. They admit that the first indigenous people of India were actually the Andaman, the people who are
Mm-hmm.
classified as the Andaman or the Java.
Negritos. Yeah.
Yeah, they admit that that was their original population, and which eventually transferred into the Dravidians.
Mm-hmm. Dravidian, Indus Valley, and Hindus rose after that.
I just
Also,
wanted
they
to.
had a flying device called the Vimana, and I'll
Vimana.
end on that.
And they try to reverse engineer that. And yeah, they're over there doing a lot of things. They have that information of how to build that. And they were over there reverse engineering it. And that's where a lot of the information that we have today comes from, believe it or not, because the NASA program, they were making a joke. They said this um, race to space was really not a race because the Germans were way ahead. Why were the Germans way ahead? Because they went over there and tapped into all of that ancient knowledge. That's how they got ahead. And then we adopted them, were criminals, people who put people in gas chambers. We adopted these people into NASA so that we could get ahead. That's the kind of government we have.
And we absorbed all that negativity, that all that evil energy. Werner von Braun, the head Nazi German scientist who started NASA, came to my home state of Alabama, and Werner ended up getting real bad cancer, and he had a stent at the end. It was like really bad, just eating him alive. And a grad student, a PhD candidate from University of North Alabama, interviewed him the week of his death, and she asked him, she's like, Dr. Von Brown, where did y'all learn all this technology? And Werner's on tape. I've tried to find the recording, can't find it anymore, but Werner said people from other worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Although he didn't say worlds, he said worlds. People
He
from other
did.
worlds.
Village. Yes, he did. He said we got it from people from other worlds.
What does that mean?
Professor,
Yeah.
it's funny that you mentioned Werner von Braun because I actually uploaded a clip from a movie where have a person who's portraying um, him, um, and he is from the movie Indiana Jones, and is a scene where he has a black waiter, and he asks the black waiter, he says, "Do you know do you know where your people are from?" And then the waiter answers, "Well, I was born in Brooklyn, sir." And he says, "No, no, no. Do you truly know where your people are from?" And then there was like a long pause. So I thought that scene was really, really funny. I don't know if you guys have seen it before.
That's
No, I
interesting.
didn't see it. I haven't seen it. I was wanting to refresh the stage just so everyone was aware.
I don't mean to interrupt, but is the audio going in and out with anybody? Like it's like
No.
you can hear it, then it
That
No.
goes
that's not
out.
me. No.
No?
Uh-uh.
Okay.
I wanted to refresh the stage. I've been trying to remind people to raise their hands. I know that someone named H.M. Leela has been up here with their hand raised for a while. The Black Receipts. And then everyone else who came up since then hasn't raised their hand. So I kind of lost track of that. But I know that it was different. H.M. Leela and the Black Receipts who have had their hands raised for a while. So I was wondering if we could go to them.
Yo, yeah.
No one would mind.
No, that's great. Go to HM Leela. Yeah, and when you raise do me a favor. Like Nikki said, that throws me off. When you raise your hand and want to talk, just keep it up. Because sometimes y'all raise your hand and put it down, and I'll be like, who was talking? Go ahead, HM Leela.
Salutations, everybody. It's Lila. Just wanted to know which J. A. Rogers publications you were reciting from earlier,
Oh,
Professor.
okay. The book is called "100 Amazing Facts About the Negro with Complete Proof." Jay Rogers ain't playing.
Copy you. Appreciate you.
Roger. Um, who was it? I forgot just that fast, Nikki. It was
Oh, you know what? I forgot. The Rob the Whip was up here too with their hand raised. I forgot that person was like right after the person who just spoke. Can we just slip that person in? I'm trying to give
come on,
everybody a
Rob.
chance because
No,
you're so supportive.
What's
Go
happening, man?
ahead, Rob.
Professor, I need a maybe you can help me out, man. Teach me something tonight. Um, what do you know about the Pharaoh of the Grand Canyon? Um, have you heard anything about that? And if you
that's
do,
top secret. I used to work at Smithsonian. A great deal of
yeah.
effort has been uh, put to keep people away from certain areas. I know for years campers have tried to sneak in there, and there were urban legends of once you get down there, people with unmarked battle dress uniforms, no tags, no markings, with M4s telling them to turn around. Um, our brother Billy Carson got real smart and said, "I'm a millionaire. I'm just gonna fly in that bitch in my private helicopter." Had an archaeologist, a couple scientists, geologists, and a pilot. Flew a Bell Jet Ranger deep in there. Landed in the middle of nowhere. Got out the helicopter, walked a couple paces, and was greeted by a couple men with black battle dress uniforms, M4 rifles with no markings that told him to turn around and go. Why is it a national park off limits? I don't know.
So let me ask you. Say it's all true because the word is that there's a pyramid there and there's hieroglyphics in the wall. That's already been reported by two various white men over the centuries, um, over the decades rather. Uh, one 100 years before the other. So if that's true, and it's highly likely it is true, do you think that the indigenous people of what's now called America, we are the descendants of them, and they were the predecessors?
Yeah, that's what we were arguing earlier. That our lineage goes back to the Kemetic people of ancient Egypt. But then that begs the question: where is Egypt? Is it? I mean, where was Kemet? Where was the land of Kemet? Was it
Yeah,
was
we have different ancient lineages,
right?
and that could possibly be one of them. Anybody here on this land could possibly be one of our ancestors because when they brought people over here from the transatlantic slave trade, that doesn't mean that they didn't scoop up everybody who was already here that was brown. Everybody over here brown was subject to being enslaved. That's why they had that 1790 Sundry Act to protect people from Morocco because they didn't want to be perceived as black and enslaved. So anybody brown that stepped on this land during that time was subject to being enslaved. So, yes, brown Indians got snapped up in it, Africans got snapped up in it. Uh, swarthy white people with curly hair could have been affected. They could be perceived as people that had African ancestry. Everybody was under the gun over here.
Yep.
Well, thanks
Um,
for the education. I'm I've been doing a lot of reading about this stuff over the years, so I just wonder if you had any knowledge of it. But
well,
thank you.
Sheikh Anta Diop in his book African Civilization argues and identifies in one part of the book that the Kemites and or aka Egyptians had slaves. A group of people showed up to Kemet who were basically walking on all fours. They had blonde hair, blue eyes, and they were filthy. They would kill the women would kill, according to Sheikh Anta Diop, would kill rats, bash a rat on the ground, and then eat it in sight of everybody. According to Sheikh Anta Diop, the Kemites made security guards and let these people become proximal to their power system. So if you read in between the lines, it seems as though this group of people turned on the Kemites and overthrew them over in time. So that's something to think about as well.
My man, thank you. Y'all have a good night. I'm going to bed. Huh.
You're welcome.
Now, I just wanted to clarify some of those quotes from Herman. Oberth. He said, "We got help from other worlds." And then he also said in a 74 interview, "We cannot take credit for our record advancement in certain scientific fields alone. We have been helped."
Right.
Okay? Helped by who? Not us, not Russia, not China. We're running out of people that could have helped.
Right. Grant Hancock said it. Not Grant. Joe Rogan said that there was a gigantic. There's an urban legend of a gigantic spaceship, like a mile in diameter, that in perfect condition, just left in that was left in like in Arizona, like in the desert out there. Like the locals talk about, like one day there was a gigantic spaceship out there, just like left with the doors open, just like, hey, humans, check this out. So we don't have a clue what's going on. But as a historian, if you do the timeline, it just don't add up. If you look at 1900, we the police and military were riding around in horses, and in just 40 years, 40 years, you go from riding horses to flying a fucking jet. That's exponential growth. Nothing natural does that.
Going to the moon from horse and buggy to going to the moon. That's
It's
impossible.
impossible. That's an exponential jump. That's somebody giving you something and saying, "Hey, re-engineer this." Matter of fact, it's deeper than that. That's somebody's giving you one of their engineers and walking you through the process step by step. That's what that is. I'm just saying.
Yes, just saying.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm mailing out. If you ordered a book yesterday, I'm mailing them out early in the morning. I still have like 35 books left. If y'all want to purchase them, my Cash App is in the jumbotron. Put $25 on my Cash App and put your full mailing address with correct zip code, and I'll go ahead and send them out tomorrow with the batch of books.
These are going like hotcakes.
I know I'm gonna have to order more. It's interesting. I had a big box of them, but they're like almost gone. Go figure.
35, only 35 left, huh? That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, I had like 100 and something. Like maybe 200 in that box. I don't know. Go figure.
Welcome to the stage. Raise your hand so everyone can see you, okay? Thanks.
We're gonna get new speakers and we'll go back to different concern. What's on your mind?
Hey, Professor Allen, how you doing, Miss Wani? What's up, Nikki? I just
Doing well,
wanted to add
brother.
a little bit to what you was talking about. Remember, Jack Parsons was the one that came up with rocket science, and that's what really propelled everything into it. And Jack Parsons actually was into witchcraft, and he was messing around with Aleister Crowley and all that. So maybe you guys want to put some little research into that. And as
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm not saying he was connected with any aliens, but he was connected in with the occult, and he was doing certain things, and he was the one that actually came up with rocket science. So if you guys look up
Well,
Jack Parsons and look up his
well,
history,
yeah,
I'm
but
sorry.
remember, that's what you call it was doing. That's what Aleister Crowley was doing, contacting weird aliens and drawing pictures of them. So,
Yeah, and if you ever look at his name, if everybody look at the spelling of his name, it's drawn with a penis. Well, it's phallus. I would say that's the correct word. He writes the A with the penis and the balls. But anyway, that's just a
who,
little
Jack
insight.
Parsons?
No, Aleister Crowley.
Oh yeah, of course he would do that. He's just like
Yeah, because he
really
was he
out of
was he
control.
was a homosexual. He was into
He was a lot of
sex
stuff.
into sex magic and all that weird stuff. But yeah, rocket science did come from Jack Parsons, and it's a good story if you guys look into it. And it get really weird and dark as well. But thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. Yeah, there's an occult connection, there's an alien connection, and there's not a lot of connections to just hard work and scientific breakthrough. All of their information from their own mouths comes from them being in these secret societies of real, looking in the Vedas and looking at the to see what's going on with ancient Hindu texts and just, hanging out with Aleister Crowley, and they're all over the place. And then they said out of their mouths that we didn't do this. We got help from other worlds. So should we believe them, or should we just say they're lying and hiding their hard work? What we do know is that people from that background are very skilled at gathering information from other groups and using it um, for their own uses and relabeling it, repackaging everything that they got from Egypt. The first round of people that went to Egypt to the so-called mystery schools, they admitted it. They wrote all about it. Hey, we went to Egypt. We went to a mystery school. I was initiated into this school. But then the next generation denies it. Oh no, we don't know anything about those Negroes. Who are they? Oh, they're white now. They're not Negroes. They're Greek. So, this is what we're putting up with. They always go somewhere, get some ancient knowledge, come back, repackage it. One minute it's Hindu text, the next minute it's NASA. Okay. One minute it's scales and in geometry and mathematics in Egypt. The next minute the Egyptians are Greek. Who's next? To black?
Hello, y'all. What's going on,
What
Professor
what's going
Mitchell?
on, bro?
Good
I'm
morning.
talking through a mute. I told you come up.
Oh,
I-
Oh, go ahead,
no,
Professor.
no, no. I was telling you to come up. I said the black, and Wani said the black. I was like, oh, I just said that, but she didn't hear me. Come on up, bro.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, I'm on backup account today, but man, y'all got my mind bubbling with a whole lot of goofy thinking and paranoid white people stuff. This Aleister Crowley thing, cause he's a very interesting dude. When you look at it, like he was into some weird stuff. Uh, what was super interesting to me about him is his little special ship of his own country, his country ship that he made, so he could do all the crazy things he wanted to do it in the middle of the sea. But what's interesting about them, they do go to like a whole lot of ancient texts and kind of combine them and reword them so it can be harder to find the original origin of some of these stories. Cause and that's why like these little Indian people, they do interest me. Cause they keep all the old customs, even if they sound weird and quirky. But like the Vamana thing, when you go like look at they so called Vamana temples, and you go on the inside, it does look like kind of like some jet engine propellers or something, and like the stuff that they got carved on the outside, they got like little spaceman or little pictures of dudes holding like shotguns and other dudes fighting with swords. So sometimes I do feel like it is some type of validity to some of these ancient stories, because uh, the Indian government did find uh, a land bridge that was part of they well, one of their ancient stories that white people was trying to claim that it was just a natural barrier that was made, but when they actually dug inside it and got samples, it was made out of earth that was from the land, and it was layered in certain ways, so it had to be man made. So it kind of makes me think about how they worship elephants and monkeys, And in the Bible, in the time of Babylon, when the gods destroyed the tower, they made some people in monkeys and elephants. So you know how white people imagination is wild when they don't know how the words to describe something. They just put a name to it, or they just tweak the name of what people say it is. So it I be thinking sometimes, like when they say they went to a land of a whole lot of like animal men or beastly looking men with weird bodies. I be thinking, like, isn't that part of India like the the main part of India where everybody at? Is that where they really went? Because you do see like throw kind of people, like weird kind of inbred people, the hairy man, the people with like they face be on their body and stuff.
Wait, where's that?
In
Face
India,
on their body?
some little birth defects where you don't grow a neck. It's just you got
Oh
head
boy.
and
You mean
body.
the ones with the tails and the full hair coverage?
He be
Yeah, so
cracking
it's
me
like
the hell up.
Face on
This
your head?
guy, the
Okay,
black,
gotta check
cracks
that out.
me the hell up.
Gotta check that out.
so because I be watching a lot of these little travel channels, and like they do be having some weird looking people over there. And I be scared. Like, yeah, you can't pay me enough to travel to some of these places and look at some of these people. Like, I think I'm gonna get snatched up and they gonna eat me. So that's
It's
probably how
possible,
some of the
very
white people in the
possible.
past felt.
Careful. Don't go to certain places with certain people. People have gotten eaten. They
See, and then
have.
I know in India they eat their own people. Like they cool
I
with that.
don't know about that so much, but I
Well, I'm
know
gonna send
that
you this
people have
video of this
gotten eaten.
Indian dude. He was like, they eat their own dead. They eat
Oh
whatever
yeah,
body they can
that
find.
there's that tribe over there that eats corpses. Now you'll be safe because you're not dead, but don't be dying over there because they will eat you.
Oh
That
Lord.
group will eat you.
See, and when white
Only
people
if
were
you're dead though.
traveling, they
Only
really
if
didn't
you're
know where
dead.
they were going. So like since they mix America up with Asia a lot, especially back then, I be feeling like they probably landed in India and seen that throw shit and got scared and hurry up and left. And then they landed in America and they seen some similar type of Negroes and like, no, we need to leave. And they went and got back up and brought everybody back. But they landed back in America instead of going back to India where they saw the crazy people that they were scared of. So that's why I be like, is that the reason why they kind of say that we Asiatic, or they want to bring the Asiatic people here and say that they was here so they can keep their story of why they turned into crazy mass murderers for a reason?
I'm not sure, but I know that they're crazy and they're lost and they named four different people Indians.
Four? I thought they named like eight different people Indians.
Well, it could be more. I'm
You
pretty
got
sure
Eastern
they saw
Indians, Western
Aboriginals.
Indians. Um,
Right.
hold on, look,
American
American
Indians.
The
Indians,
Hindustan people were named Indians,
Indians.
whether they like it or not. West Indians for the Caribbeans. Then they called the people up here North America Indians, and then they called the other ones down in South Black Indians.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then let's see who else. And I know they
Red
were over there calling
Indians.
those Aboriginal people Indians. You already know they were. And then
Mm-mm.
they changed. They said, wait a minute, this is getting too confusing. We'll
Oh,
just
don't
call
forget
them
the Christian
Aboriginals.
Indians.
Which ones?
The good Christian
The
Indians.
civilized Indians.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
brother.
Mm.
I mean the traders.
Them.
yeah. Did yeah,
That.
because the Seminoles, they was the savage Indians.
That part.
So they was
Now,
around.
were you
They
talking
came through.
about this tree man, an Indian? Oh, no, no, not him. There was an Indian person who had, oh yeah, here he is. The tree man, he's got roots growing out of his hands. It looks like a tree. Now, I don't know what that is.
Can we put that in a jumbotron?
Yeah, let me try to, it's on Facebook. Let me try to get something that I can put in.
Go ahead, different. Yeah, I see Queen Nene is in here too.
Uh, the only thing I wanted to say was when dude mentioned this stuff about the Grand Canyon, Pharaoh of the Grand Canyon, how they have guards. It's the same similar thing in Southern Illinois with
Sure
some
is called
caves
Burroughs Cave, my
in the
friend.
Illinois. Yeah, yeah, where they found black statues that was connected to the Cahokia Mountains. I, like to be honest, I actually mentioned this to Wani a long time. Like it's been like a couple of months ago because we talked about it before. But yeah, like they found black statues and they found that it was connected to like to the Cahokia Indians. But it's gated off. They tried to say it was fake, but they got the federal. They got it gated off, like literally.
Do you know where it is? Do you know
Guarded.
where the
So
gate is?
it's somewhere near Metropolis, Illinois, like Paducah, Kentucky. It's like in that area,
Mm.
but yeah, it's near that area. It's like yeah, Southern Illinois. Because my grandmother, she used to stay in Paducah, Kentucky, and they were kind of talking about it. Like the people there were kind of talking about them caves, but they gated it off because you used to be able to go in there, but they said this shit gated off by the federal. It's like, and plus it's the same thing with Crystal Lake with the Khalifa Indians in California. That's a military base
Hold
down
on,
there, but
slow it
that's where the
down. What?
Khalifa
Hold on,
Indians
hold on.
were.
This is why I love the spaces. I'm getting some information now. You said Crystal Lake.
Yeah, Crystal Lake, husband like Crystal Lake. That's where the Khalifa Indians were supposedly at, but now it's a military base because they wanted to dig there because that's where the Khalifa Indians, where they tried to say it's based off an old ancient story, but
Hold on. You
they
telling me
were
something?
actually
You
a
telling me
black
something I
native
ain't
tribe
never
in
heard of? So,
California.
hold on. Crystal. Hold on, Crystal. Crystal Lake.
Yeah, it's just Crystal Lake. Yeah, but yeah, supposedly it's a
And,
military
and
base
what? And
now.
what?
They
In
said
where? In
it's in California. It's in California. That's where the Khalifa Indians
California.
are. Yeah.
Interesting.
It's named after a black woman though. That's what they said. It's named after a black woman. Like the word California is named after a black woman. It's supposed to be like some black native god, black native woman god. So I've been learned about that, but like I just recently learned like a little bit more shit about it. But to be honest, it's hard to find some of this information because it's based off of old books. Like it's not no shit that you can find offline. You know what I mean? Because that's what some
I
people
got in
say.
an
But
argument.
when
I
I
got in
was
an
reading,
argument with some people. One that was on the stage. I forgot whose stage that was, but I was going at it with somebody. We need to teach our kids to use AI. They need to use AI. And I was telling them that AI, that's the next trick. AI is gonna be used to teach children. It's gonna be used to do everything. And AI is a goddamn liar,
yeah,
AI is racist
was
as
AI
fuck.
used?
AI is racist.
right?
It depends on who programs it. That's why I wish more of us, but it's a lot of us that knows code too because I was going to a tech school and it's a nice amount of black people, among us
Well,
that's picking
that's
up
true,
coding.
but
So
that kind of gets
eventually we're gonna
aside
learn
from the
our own.
point. The point is the new plan for the new racist plan is to make our children rely upon AI and maybe I
They already rely on
It's just a
TikTok.
it's
tool.
a
It's a
tool. Yeah.
tool.
Yeah,
You can it's very,
yeah.
very good tool. You can put some, paragraphs in there and say, what do you think? Get an opinion, ask them about the punctuation, and different things. But you can't rely on it. You can ask, is this
Uh,
research okay? And it might say yes, and it might be wrong when it says it. So you have to double check
oh,
some of the things that it says.
but it's
That's a good way to look at it.
but yeah, but it's a little bit more deadly than you think. like because I think Google, they were kind of doing something, and I guess the two machines was basically talking to themselves in their own language they made
Yeah,
up
they
or their own
created a
code or
language.
something. Yeah, and
I'm not
yep.
scared of it. I could just
Tried to go to
unplug,
the
but I could
internet.
just unplug both of them, so they're not going to do anything.
True. I think it's not gonna end up like no Tomb Raider shit though. Hopefully it don't. But yeah, I think that's what they was trying to say. Like it was,
Mm,
but they tried to
There's
hide
a lot
that
of
like
fear
though too. I
mongering.
thought that was weird.
Oh yeah, fear
Well,
is no good.
That's true too.
today I tested it. I put in that I said I am related to Napoleon and Charlemagne, and then it said, well, I said 23andMe said this, and it said, well, yeah, you could be related, but most likely you just share some ancestry. So it gave the same response to when I said I'm related to King Ramses III. It didn't say, no, you're not, and all that, like, everybody else does. Oh, that's a distant relative. Everybody's related to that guy, like with Genghis Khan. So it didn't do that. It gave the same answer to whether I was related to this King Ramses III, as if in the same way that it would respond to me saying I'm related to Charlemagne. It just kind of gave some, maybe you are directly related or maybe you're not. It didn't say, oh yeah, cool, you're related. Have a nice day, and then say no, you're not, like the European says whenever we're related to anybody. I mean, I expect to be told I'm not related to my mother at this point.
Yeah, those of you came later in the space, we really broke some ground and identified what that's about. Um, what the whole no, you're not, like anything good that happens, the Europeans just knee jerk reaction. No, you're not. No, you're not. And the Africans knee jerk reaction the same way. And what we concluded was according to Dr. Claude Anderson, Black Labor White Wealth, page 10 and 11. Dr. Anderson says, quote, slaves were intentionally kept without hope. A slave's life was committed to producing wealth and comfort for white masters. The slaves suffered in silence. Basically, what that means is our whole existence was based upon um allocating our pleasure and joy to others. It was not my pleasure; it was my master's pleasure. Like they say, your pleasure is your wish is my command. Um, so that ideology bled over when slavery became from turned physical to mental after 1804. The Haitian Revolution scared the whole white world, and what a little known fact is the Haitian Revolution caused slavery to turn mental. So up until yesterday, you know, up until this conversation we're having right now, still today actually, that is a concept. Is if we say, well, we're related to greatness, that's like, no, 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 you're not, because you're not allowed to have greatness. You're a slave. And the African issue was all about they are the ones who sold us to the Europeans. Therefore, if we say, hey, I'm related to greatness or I'm great, no, 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 you're not. You're not supposed to be related to greatness. You're supposed to be belonging to the white man because that's where I sold you. So that's what we need. That's the way I would look at it moving forward. I think I'm right on that one. Housing, what's on your mind, brother?
Hey, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, brother.
Oh,
You guys was on some real. I I tried to keep up with Wani when she was talking about as far as who's a direct descendant. First of all, let me address the topic you have up top. Are the pharaohs? I mean, are the FBA related to the pharaohs and the kings and such? Both questions are yes. For my yes, the reason why I say these right is because if you crunch the numbers from back then when they basically like set the tone on how one should conduct themselves and all the knowledge they brought to the world when it comes to math, mathematics, so forth and so on. And then it got shut down. And let's move forward. Let's move right to us, right here in America. And the stuff that we created. But we was doing it under duress. They had our foot in our, they had their foot in our necks, but we were still being creative. We were still like set the tone for how. Well, let me say like this: we we basically like I'm stuck for words. Bear with me. We basically like set the tone for who we are as a people right here in America. And if you look at all the things we created, and we still creating. Now, I think we should sign a petition and let's sue the Catholic Church because that's where all the information is at.
Well, they already said we should receive reparations, and they already said that the people that they directly owned, they were going to do a reparations program for them.
The Catholic Church said that.
Yeah.
Wow.
It
Yeah,
was
but
a it was a
yeah, that
part of the Catholic Church. Let me look it up.
right. But while you looking that up, one, let me continue. Now, if you know, I say it like this: why are we the most hated people on this planet, and why are we the most creative people on this planet? Like our culture just suffused the whole world. Like everywhere you go, you can look at the most the slum. I mean, you can look at any country and look at the slums. Look at anywhere you go, they imitating Black America. Black America, and they also like to dress like us, like to talk like us. Why is that, Professor? Break that down. Can you ask me that,
Because of our
Professor?
lineage. We have
Our
a
lineage,
very
yeah.
There you
powerful
go.
lineage.
There we
So
go.
it says the Catholic Church has made some reparations for its past mistreatment of Black and Indigenous people, but the church's response has varied. So these Jesuits, that's hard to say, a Catholic order of priests pledged one,
Jesuit.
Jesuits,
It's a hard word.
Jesuits.
Jesuit.
Um,
Don't feel
Yeah,
bad.
I don't think I've ever said that too much. The Jesuits, a Catholic order of priests, pledged $100 million to atone for their role in the slave trade in the United States. So, um, like, I don't know what happened.
Right.
Like they pledged to give this money, and now they start babbling about Canada. Um, Once they say it's for Black and Indigenous people, that means that, First Nations people and Siberian ancestors are going to get money. Why haven't I been contacted? I am a Black person
Well,
exposed to slavery in the United States.
if I had to guess, they pledged $100 million for to research slavery, and then gave that $100 million to a white think tank
Yeah, to
to
themselves.
think
Pretty much.
about
It
think
all
about.
it
Yeah.
all got spread it out. Now, I'm gonna use my imagination a little when you was mentioning about 5,000 years ago there was a bomb, a nuclear bomb, right? How we know it could have been longer than 5,000 years ago?
We don't know how long. You're right. It
It
Yeah,
could
could
be
have
longer.
been.
but let me how we don't know it that we didn't encounter some aliens came down here and made it hot.
We don't.
Maybe they wanted to get rid of a few people that wasn't doing the right thing, and they blew them
What's
up.
the right thing, though? We don't have
What?
any instruction books.
I'm just using that as a thing. But what I mean by that, maybe it was a galactic war, and the Earth got involved,
Hmm.
or it was they just ran across us. Someone hid. I'm using the TV perspective. You know how a couple of guys run from these bad people, and they happen to
Well,
land across a planet.
this one killed human beings, where the other fights that were reported in the skies over Nuremberg and other places where they had to make woodcuts of all these things flying over their head, it didn't kill anybody. They said when these things fell to the ground, they kind of fizzled out. Nobody
Right.
was killed and nobody was nuked. So the land over there is not nuked. So it whatever was going on over there in Germany in two places was definitely different than what happened with these nukes over here.
Right, but you understand where I'm going, right, Ronnie? Like, and Professor, like, you mentioned it happened 5,000 years ago. You just threw a number out there.
Yeah.
No, they
I mean,
carbon dated or something. They carbon date things.
right. It could have been 20,000 years ago.
What
But
difference
who?
does it make?
Yeah, who to say that we didn't we didn't encounter more advanced people coming through here, and that's where the radiation came from. We don't know.
Right. We don't. We don't know if somebody in ancient times developed this with that Shiva Linga. Um, I guess you could say ancient text about the Shiva Linga. We don't know. If you look at the Shiva Linga, it's very interestingly like a nuclear reactor for some reason. Anyway,
Okay.
we don't know if someone tapped into that. We don't know if Aleister Crowley's little alien friend told him something. We really don't know
Right.
what happened.
Now the hieroglyphics that's in on the walls of Egypt, they
Yes.
they advanced hieroglyphics. Am I correct?
You mean, what do you mean, advanced
Not
hieroglyphics?
advanced. Well, they it seems like they well I all right. For instance, the uh what's the name on the phone? How many like the you got one, two, or three, and it goes directly down on the right side of the phone. I guess it lets you know how many how strong your signal is. They got that
Yeah.
on the wall. They
What?
also got the hovercraft on the wall.
They have what on? What's the first part they have on the wall?
The signal on your phone. I
You
can't
feel
put
like they had iPhones on the hieroglyphics?
they use well actually
Girl, stop.
hey listen, use your
I don't know.
imagination. Use your
I'm just,
imagination. But
I
listen,
mean,
Wani,
They
you
look,
had a
know
civilized. They were civilized for a while, and then something happened, and then it went back to ground zero. But
back
there
to the
was some type
Stone
of a
Age.
yeah.
there you go,
I think
Nikki.
that's
There
what
you go. Yeah, but if you notice
They
like
had what looks like a light bulb or some light
no,
source.
the signal on your iPhone, if you got an
Mhm.
iPhone,
Yeah.
you got the battery.
the signal, the bars.
Yes, there
Yeah.
you go.
I'm completely lost. I
I
don't know
don't
who y'all
feel like
talking
they
But
about.
have
that bar,
bars.
the bars is on the walls of
The
Egyptian
The
barge
bar.
is on there?
hieroglyphics. Yes, and you
I
got the
said the barge.
hovercraft.
She's playing with you, dude. She
No,
just
I'm
said the bar.
serious. But actually, they using it here, and we using it today.
Some
But
of those guys do look like the barge, though.
not the barge.
The floppy
I'm
hair
talking about the
dudes.
bar on your
Okay,
phone.
I'm trying to make a
I
joke.
I know you just I got you,
It's
Wally.
very
I got you.
painful.
Yeah, but that's what. I said that to say, like, you know, they,
You see symbols that we use today. Is that what you're
yes,
saying?
there you go. Break it down.
Well,
I'm
see,
stuck for words right now. I'm
the
tired. I had a long day.
Aboriginals were saying that they saw a boomerang on the hieroglyphics, and that proves that somebody went over to Australia and then spoke about the boomerang. But then when you question them, they go, "No, that's something that we have. We have this tool, and we have this." So I don't know.
But what about the hovercraft, Wani?
They do have some things floating around on these not just the hieroglyphics, but they have things on, and they have aliens. Okay, like I don't even know what else to say. They have straight up ET looking individuals on almost everybody's caves from South Africa to the Americas. They have straight up big-eyed aliens, big bald globe-headed aliens. Now they could have been some Somalis that came over here.
Could have been some Somalians.
But I didn't mean to confuse everyone. I was just trying to get it out in my words. I was, but we're direct. We're a direct connection to them. I agree, cause we some smart people, even under duress. I mean, what group of people that you know that went through what we went through that's still here? Can you name them?
No, I know some people that went through slavery and they're beat down like a dog and never got up.
There you go.
I know a group of people alive today that never, ever recovered from being enslaved. Guess who it is?
Who's that?
You can't think of anybody? Yeah, they got freed around the same time that we got freed. They were enslaved, they were traded. Um,
The Irish.
no, they were marginalized everywhere they went, from India through Europe, and they
The
ended up being
African.
called Romanis. They ended up being called Romanis.
And
Gyp-
where are they based at?
Gypsies have
Gypsies.
never. They
Okay.
lay in the street. They beg. They read your fortune. They have a whole criminal network. They're nomadic. They have caravans. They never recovered from being enslaved.
Right. And what's the name is ancestors Egyptians, right?
Indians.
Egyptians. What's the people, the actor, I mean not the actor, the one that got kissed by Kanye West. Her
Uh,
family is gypsies, right?
Kardashians.
oh,
Kardashians,
she's
yes.
Armenian. Is she gypsy?
They're
I,
related, right? The Armenians and the Gypsies. What are
I
Yeah,
think yes, they say she's Egyptian. I mean not Egyptian,
Egyptian.
what you call,
Armenian.
yeah.
Yeah, Armenian, and some people try to say that that's black, and then they try to say that Kim Kardashian is
No,
black
that's
because
caucus.
yeah.
Right. But listen, hey guys, I land my plane. I sit there and listen. It was so hard to keep up with you, Wanda, when you was going back and back, But I'm just listening. I'm being a
What?
student.
Which part was confusing? Oh no, we're just gonna
Not
go on.
confusing, but it was just hard to keep up when you was naming uh can't even pronounce the words you was naming. You was saying when you and Professor was first talking about.
Okay, but like with the gypsies, what's going on is they're in these European countries and they form little groups and they get another name. I don't know if Kim Kardashian is an Armenian gypsy. Yeah, they do have gypsies there. It's not a lot of them though. She's probably just a part of the regular Armenian people like Cher.
Right. But not that. When you was naming the groups of people that was in certain places in the world back then, you never put a date on it. You was just talking about uh
Which people?
if you mention them again, I can it'll come to my mind. You was just talking about them.
Negritos?
Yes.
You
Well,
know,
yeah, they
break the
populated
Negritos
parts.
down. Can you break the Negritos down to me and I'll land my plane?
Yeah, they populated Southeast Asia,
Right.
southern China,
O-
parts of India, and they were doing that about 50,000 years ago. And they also started to migrate to the Pacific Islands, and basically, their culture is spread everywhere. They're all over the Pacific Islands. So, of course, they were here because they were everywhere else in the Southern Hemisphere.
And that would be the people that's in Hawaii right now.
Well, they're the first peoples that go to those places. And then another wave, they're Proto Austronesians, Negritos. Then the Austronesians come behind them. And they came quite a while after, tens of thousands of years after. And they built upon those cultures that the Negritos laid down on those places. They came along later. Now, in some islands, you can still see the Negrito. You see the afros and the brown skin, and then on other islands, you don't see the Negrito, and they usually call those Polynesian,
Okay.
and they call Melanesian the islands where people are brown, and you can see that Negrito blood.
So is the Rock? Is he a Negrito?
He's Samoan, right?
I don't know. That's why I'm
That's
asking.
what The Rock dad is black. His dad is foundational
Yeah.
Black American. His mom Hawaiian.
Okay,
But
cool.
for some reason, he never claimed. Well, he talks about it, but he never really represent his black side like that. I definitely noticed that him. It be him and Van Diesel. Like they're
Yes.
both black. They never claim it though. That's the weird thing.
Now, what
Well,
is
it's not
Van
weird.
Diesel background, brother?
He black, yeah, like he's Spanish, but he black too. He got a full afro. He let his hair grow out. It's
Oh,
a
okay.
full fucking afro, but he don't claim it, and The Rock don't either. So you know, they never spoke ill will about blacks, but they just kind of ignore they black side.
Yes. And Wani, Hitler says something famous about black people. They say you got the crown jewel over here in America.
Yeah, we know. After all those inventions and stuff related to what they were into. So it says that his father is, hold on, let me see this. I think some of these people are just rewriting their whole background. They are, because no, this stuff sounds just like it came pouring out of our mouths.
Mm-mm.
Dwayne Johnson. Okay. It says born in Hayward, California, son of blah, 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 a former wrestler. If you think I'm going to pronounce that, you are out of your mind. There's no way. Um, he lived in Auckland, New Zealand, with his mother's family. Johnson's father was a black Nova Scotian with a small amount of Irish ancestry, and his mother is Samoan. His father and Tony Atlas were the first black tag team champions in world in history, WWE history. But what does this say?
That's that
Son
old
of,
rest.
I don't understand. How could he be the son of this guy and at the same time say his father was Nova Scotian? Which one is it? Like
My
it
bad. I
says,
thought that it was Black American, but
no, but
okay.
read his bio.
Yeah,
Johnson's father was a black Nova Scotian with a little
uh,
bit of Irish ancestry, but it also says he was
yeah,
born the son
get
of
black.
Mana Figa Mogalaka. That's not a black Nova Scotian name. Can
hmm It's a
No,
can
What is
show
it?
about it too. Like he got a TV show about it, and I saw a picture of his dad. His dad is like your average black dude. Like.
Oh,
He was a
wow.
muscle bound black dude, so I don't know. But I
I
thought
don't
that his
know
family was
either.
from the South. Like that's what I thought. I didn't know it was Nova Scotia. That's
Well,
technically still black. They just ran to Canada, right? So I
right.
don't
It's
know.
the same lineage, possibly. We have to see his paperwork because we don't know. Oh, that's why, this is very,
But his
we're
daughters
getting
don't
under,
even look black at all. His daughters look like they just lily white.
yeah.
Oh, he got
We're
white. He has a white woman.
we're having a strong
Yeah.
effect on people because they used to just try to get attached to us by saying they're Nova Scotian when we caught them living up in Canada. Now they're saying that they come from a historic neighborhood in Nova Scotia that's associated with people from the Underground Railroad. They're getting very specific right now.
Nobody never said what he was anyway, because I remember when I was little, nobody knew what the rock was. Like
He made
nobody.
some comment about all three of these guys. What was that other one? Blaine, that magician. All of these guys always use the cop out that, oh, I'll be looked over for roles because they'll pigeonhole me in with black. That good. Stay out. Stay out of the hole. No
Yeah, because this
problem with that.
entertainment world trash now. It's people on world news talking about now that the Oscars went to a bunch of people that that, that they never even heard of the movie. They didn't even know the movie exists until they won an award. Like, how
Yeah,
the fuck
that's
you win an
very
Oscar
weird.
for something that you never
What are
saw?
they
Like,
doing?
I don't know.
I gotta
That's
go
what
look at the
Hollywood fucking
winners to see
trash
if
right
any
now.
of. I bet. I was just gonna look
I
to see
heard
if
that Witch
anybody's
Girl
an
didn't win
American.
shit. That's
Who?
what I heard. That girl who played what on that Wicked or
Oh
whatever the
yeah,
fuck
thank
that
you. Thanks for the good news.
I think she didn't win shit.
She
So I
needs to
think she was
win for most hideous person trying to
gonna
pretend to
try
be
to
a
play
black
for
person.
Storm.
And who is that? Cynthia.
Cynthia ugly.
Boy, she ugly as fuck. Boy,
Now,
they ain't
You
gonna
know
want to
what I
play for
found out?
Storm.
Y'all know what I found out? I found out that the person who is in charge of wardrobes and looks and all that is this Asian woman. I forgot her name. I have to go back and get it. But she was in charge of the whole Cynthia Erivo look. And she was in charge of Whoopi Goldberg's look on Star
No
Trek.
eyebrows and hideous looking.
Yes, yes, and Asian people, they are one of the biggest offenders of blackface and making fun of black people. And I'm not calling Erivo black, but you get where I'm going with this. It was an Asian woman who did the outfits, the makeup, and everything for Cynthia Erivo, and she did the same thing for um the the black woman who was on Star Trek, Whoopi Goldberg, and she had both of them looking like some type of weirdo. She had them just looking a little bit way too extreme.
That's what they
Y'all know
said.
how
It was
Asians
the
feel about us.
Chinese
Extreme or
that's
ugly?
mainly like that.
Oh, ugly, yes, ugly, yes.
Yeah, 'cause she ugly as
FYI,
fuck.
Welsing, I keep trying to bring you up,
We gotta go to the
and it
hands.
keeps kicking you back down. I
All right.
don't know what that's about.
Let's go to the
I don't know
hands.
why, because Welsing had
We've
her
been
hand up,
ignoring
and
I
everybody.
brought her up like 3 times, and it keeps kicking her back down.
Can you hear me?
well, let Welsing
Yes.
speak next, since yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, Welsing. See, it's something wrong with her space. She had a pee.
Something is wrong. Welsing, yeah, I don't even. I think somebody said that it was going in and out. Someone asked everybody, "Hey, is it going in and out for you?" And I think that's what's happening. Unless her phone rang.
Me. I said that because I had to leave and come back. Yeah, I said that because it was going in and out when y'all was talking about something about the nuke from 5,000 years, which I didn't have a chance to really hear it for real.
Got it.
they messing with the host, right, Professor?
Yep.
Probably.
They know that the professor bringing these fire spaces. They don't want us
Absolutely.
to get that message.
Hey, Professor.
Yes, sir.
Funny is,
Uh,
they talk about the same
AI.
stuff on the History Channel.
Listen, AI.
Oh, I would love to do that. AI.
When I
Yeah.
listen, when I asked about Cynthia, was she was she married? I mean, is she married or was? And AI says Cynthia has kept a personal, private life, but it's reported that she was previously married to Mario Martinez from 2007 to 2000. I mean,
Mhm.
2017 to 2018. Then I asked, AI, who was Mario Martinez? Oh, I couldn't find any information confirming Cynthia Evo marriage to Martinez. My previous statement was incorrect.
Yeah,
Wow.
it does stupid things like, yeah. See, I experienced that kind of BS as well. That's why I say you have to double check what it says. It's a good tool, but you got to double check it.
How do
Right.
you use AI? I know I'm fine, but how do you
You
use it? You
just
go to
you just type in whatever question you
Information. Yeah.
have. You can put in, like if you're writing something, you can put that in there and ask it what it thinks or if the
is it a
punctuation
website
is
you
right.
go to, or
Yeah.
you just go on Google?
No, you can try Chat GPT. You can try Perplexity. And the other one is deepai.org.
Wani, do you pay for yours?
No,
Right. Now
but
check.
this deepai.org is very good, but it's bogged down with a lot of ads, and it's very annoying. The ads are very oppressive, but
I
it's very good though.
I use Meta on
How do you get them
I
AI
use
pictures
Meta.
and stuff? Like, it be people be making AI songs.
Oh, you're talking about some other stuff. Somebody tell them they're the ones you use. I don't make the pictures that much with AI. I haven't liked the ones. They're okay.
Wani, I use Meta on
I heard
Facebook.
that.
Where is it?
Meta's on Facebook.
Oh, is it
Yeah.
free?
Yes. Well, if you got the account.
I hate Facebook.
Yeah. Well, I only use it for that. I mean, I'd be on there with the
Let me
fam.
go over there now.
Yes, Meta is free. It's on Instagram too, and phone message is free if you got the account.
We're
Where
gonna
is
go
it
to
on Instagram?
we're gonna go
Like,
to Queen Nene. She's had her hand up for some time. Queen
Absolutely.
Nene, what's on your mind? Can you hear me, Queen Nene? Uh oh.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I joined like super late because I was cleaning and all that. And sorry, I was in the kitchen trying to cook. What was I gonna
It's all
say?
good.
I had came in when Miss Wani was talking about like the little people, and I have a question about that. Um, about the pygmies. How
Yeah,
did they come
Koi,
about, and
The
like
Twa.
where did they come from?
Africa.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, let me turn up my AirPods. I'm sorry.
The ones, well, there's different groups of small statured people. Khoisan people are considered small statured.
Hmm.
The Twa and other Central African people are considered small statured. So do you mean the typical pygmy? Do you mean the Khoisan? Or do you mean the people that turned into what we call Negritos after they left? I can trace the
Well, I didn't
Negrito
even
back.
know. Yeah, I didn't even know it was different types because honestly,
Mm-hmm.
I thought like um it was just like what do you call them? The dwarf. Um, I
No,
thought that that
there's
was
different
all until
types.
it was like this video a few years ago. I guess it was a movie. It was like a little pygmy Jackie Chan, I guess you could say, because he was fighting in it. And I had shared it, and my cousin was like, "Oh, look, the pygmies run!" And I'm like, "What
No,
pygmy?" And that's when I
that's
looked it up. So I don't.
no.
That's the first time I knew
They're
about.
not. That's not the same thing. They have a they have a like it's a birth defect.
Mm.
It's a form of dwarfism. There's different forms of dwarfism. Some of them, the person is small all over. Other times their legs and arms are short. Other times they have webbed hands and
Mm.
feet. That's a form of dwarfism too,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not short. You just have this thing with your hands. So no, a person that you might see that's short is not what we're talking about. We're talking about a kind of hominid that's just small statured. They don't have a birth defect.
Uh,
It's just not, it's not the same thing.
so okay, you're talking about the Negritos, right? And they're
Yeah,
like
there's
just
yeah.
Negroids that are little,
Yes, there's small people classified as Negroes.
and this so I can
They're
make
actually
sure.
classified as Asians because they've been over in Asia so long.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask you. So they and you said that they like worship a little person every year.
No, the present day people in Taiwan who
Taiwan. Okay.
um they don't look like Negritos anymore. They worship this this ancestor, this Negrito that they killed because it was different. This person was different than them. And the response is to kill things that are different. So that's what they did. And then they felt bad about it. So they've been celebrating this for about 1,000 years. And they
Mm,
found proof that that type of person, the Negrito, actually did live there. And they
mm,
found DNA evidence that that type of person lived in Taiwan first.
mm. Yeah, we were first we're like the indigenous people of the world, basically. Another thing I was gonna ask you was, oh my goodness, because you said a lot in that one little sentence. What was the sentence? It was about the aliens and also cause somebody said something about like Hindu being like the first religion and like the oldest religion, and then that's when a professor says something else. Um, uh, I think he said something about Indonesia or something like that, unless that was a different thing that you guys were talking about. But uh, the
No.
aliens, how honestly, people I think that people expect aliens to look like what they see in the movies.
E.T.
Yeah. And that's not how they look. You know, they're just ordinary people. They're walking amongst us, just like they say angels are walking amongst us. And I think that a lot of times, because I am a Christian, you know, I believe in God and all that, but I also believe and know that we are not the only beings in the world. Um, because it even says in the Bible, not that we're not about us being the only beings in the world, but everything is spiritual. In the beginning, it even says that God created uh, man, both male and female, and He said, "Let us make man in our image. In the image of God, both male and female, were created, and it was good." We were spiritual beings before we became I don't know, not everybody is a Christian, and I respect everybody's belief, but I know for a fact everything is spiritual. Everybody is spirits. We're all spirits. We didn't if a person is a Christian and they believe in the Bible, we did not uh take physical form until God wanted us to take care of the earth, because he was looking around and nobody was here to till the earth. We did not we were created in Genesis, in the first chapter of Genesis. but then and we didn't come to earth until the second chapter of Genesis. What I'm getting at is where no matter what you believe in, everything is spiritual. And I hear like Professor and you talk about like we're all basically, well, I don't want to misquote, but you guys have mentioned like spirituality. And I think another woman was on here yesterday. Um, I forgot her name on here because everybody has like a unique name. She was talking about how the elves had saw her, but they were surprised that they saw that she saw them. And I
Mm-hmm.
was actually going to ask her, like, if she has the ability to see spirits, because I have that ability. Not everybody has that ability. And I was going to ask her because, like, when we were talking about the aliens, they're walking amongst us. There's other beings on this earth. We are not the only beings in this universe, and everything is spiritual. And uh, a lot of times, they are other dimensions. How do I say this without, because my head is, everything is going on in my head. Everybody knows about different dimensions, and like how she was saying, where she lives, there's like a lot of crazy things, quote unquote, going on. But I look at that as a lot of spiritual things going on, because
I
oh
have
God,
heard people say
I
this
don't know how to
before.
explain it, Miss Bunny.
Hey, Queen
Okay,
Nene.
hold
Hey,
on.
yo. I'm sorry.
Go
I've
ahead,
heard
sir.
people I've heard people say that they saw these type of things before, and it's always the same scenario. They see something, and then the thing that they see is shocked that they can see them.
Mm-hmm.
They may have the ability to see something that other. But I just wanted to say, Taiwan's population is 95% Han ethnicity, which is the Chinese ethnicity. So again, the Chinese did not like the people in the South who were
Mm-hmm.
Negritos,
Mm,
and the Chinese who inhabit Taiwan didn't like the Negrito that was over there, and they killed him. So they do that ceremony to honor the little black person. So these Negritos were living in China and in Taiwan,
mm-hmm.
and they were attacked and brutalized and irritated by the Han Chinese who still are there today. So
Where did
that's what's
that
going
hate come
on.
from? If they everybody was
Well, it
like
looks
started
like
off as like how did that whitewash come about?
one of the issues for sure is they didn't like the idea that people were hunter gatherers. And so if you were living a traditional life of going around and hunting and gathering, they wanted to be agriculturalists. They wanted to have more like a settled way of life. And these other people were not doing it.
Mm,
And they did not want them to infringe on their land that they don't own.
mm,
So they always get mad at these people. Same thing with the Bantu and the Khoisan. The
mm-hmm,
Khoisan was minding its own business, just like the pygmy. But the
mm,
Bantu came over there talking about this is my land. Like what? How? You went west and then you came back. Now you're bothering these two indigenous groups and others because you want their land and you don't like the fact that they don't live like that. They want to hunt and gather. They want to live a
right,
different
right.
way. They want to have a territory, and these other people don't want you moving around. So the Bantu doesn't like people moving around because they want to own land and have farms, even though it's not their land to own. And the European colonists had the same idea.
Mm-hmm,
They didn't want the Bantu to have that land, and they
mm,
wanted them to move along. So
mm.
there you go. We
Everybody want
have
to be in
people.
control.
Right, and none of them have the right to tell these indigenous people what to do when they were there for tens of thousands of years, if and in some cases, 100 and some thousands of years.
Mm.
Okay.
Thank you. And I
Um,
also want to say thank you. Whoever blessed me, Professor messaged me. I just want to say thank you. You know who you are. I appreciate you. And I will return the favor. Thank you so much.
thank you. Okay. Who was next? Was it Mississippi? Wellsing didn't get
Yeah.
a chance. Okay, go ahead, Mississippi.
Hey, Wani. Hey, Professor. Hey, Nikki. Hey, everybody else in the
Hello.
room. I was just I was reading the title. I was listening for a while and everything. I was a little distracted, but uh, I wanted to know. They said, are FBAs related to pharaohs and kings? I definitely would say yes to that because there was a direct connection between America and Egypt and the Mediterranean. Um, well, the scholarship I read from someone named Whittington SL and Reed from 1997. They were digging and they were basically excavating the bones of the Mayans and they were comparing them. Well, in their article, they wrote that the frequency of HLA-B35 at 45% is considered the highest among the Mayans. This is not surprising because one of the previous explorers classified the Chano Maya as sub-Saharan African, and that the sickle cell anemia trait is found among the Mayan skeletons that are discovered. They said the fact that archaeologists have found numerous sub-Saharan African skeletons in Mexico, some of them showing evidence of sickle cell anemia, suggests that Africans were in Mexico before the advent of Christopher Columbus or other Europeans. And that pretty much that somewhat lets us know right then and there that yes, there was transoceanic travels both from Africa. It was going different directions because when you think about it, they find Roman coins here. We went over that before. They found Roman coins all over America. They found Egyptian style pyramids all over the Americas. They found artifacts and they found even plants that grow in Egypt that belong to North America. And there's a whole lot of connections. Like earlier, I heard someone bring up the Grand Canyon, and I heard them bring up, you know, uh, Professor and them were bringing it up about how they have it protected. The reason they have it protected, I personally believe, based on some of the articles that they've released about that, is that there's a Stargate down there. There's a Stargate at the bottom of that Grand Canyon in that location, because one of the authors in 1909 in the Arizona Gazette, he talked about it a bit. Um, I think his name was Professor S.A. Jordan and G.E. Kincaid. They sort of spoke about it and how they found a cross-legged idol resembling Buddha in one of the caves at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. And there were tombs filled with mummified humans and variable Egyptian items, including cats, sculptures of Sphinx, things like that, that were basically hidden in those places. I believe that they have it hidden off not simply because of those artifacts. They have it hidden off because there's some sort of portal or some sort of stargate or something that leads somewhere else. It because there were other articles. I don't have that one on hand, but they did.
Hey, Mississippi. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just want to let people know that we're going to close the space in about 10 minutes. Just letting y'all know to go ahead and land your plane. And now I'm not necessarily talking to you, but I was just letting you know the last speaker is going to be Fish and Grits.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mississippi.
Okay. No, and I just wanted to get to that part, and I wanted to get to one other thing. I did have a quick question about that. Now, I heard Wani Professor and Nikki speak sort of about how the technology that how it advanced from horseback to cars and vehicles and nuclear weapons and things like that. Do you think that a lot of the things like we have today called like directed energy weapons, like the DUE system and synthetic telepathy, you think a lot of that was also a part of that whole what they call alien development? Because they have literally neural, they call them nano neural RFID chips that they literally can be inhaled or they can be injected or they can be ingested. Sort of like with that COVID vaccine, they can kind of be infused into the human body. And these things can actually be used like, an electroencephalogram or EEG to basically read a person's subvocalized thoughts. I mean, they can read your mind where they can understand what a person's thinking. They can also, basically affect your blood pressure. They can affect the person's pulse rate. They can affect your fatigue
Why don't
levels.
they use that in crime fighting
I'm
or
not. I'm.
spying?
I'm not. I'm not quite
They
sure
do,
because
Sister Wani. It's called smart dust. They've been using it for like the last
What
10 years.
about why don't they use it in some of these sensitive positions in the government? And you later
Certain
find
crimes,
out,
they do.
I
They
believe
do.
they do use it because I know that the energy weapons they do have them as satellites in the ionosphere. That's like the top layer of our atmosphere here on Earth, the ionosphere.
I
Um,
ask that because if we are going to insist upon having random immigrants be in the military and have all kinds of people that end up doing terrorist acts on our military bases, they need to have something to see if these people are loyal.
I believe that. That's you're right, Wani. We do. I said I don't understand why they're not just using it, to solve some of these crimes. I mean, they have thousands of children missing, millions of people missing, and yet these crimes remain unsolved. But did you notice how in Chicago, when that Jesse Smollett guy was saying that he was attacked by some MAGA guys, how they quickly were able to look over all those CCTV cameras and all of
Hmm.
that intel and find out that he was lying very quickly?
Yes, I do remember.
Yeah, I was but that's pretty much what I was bringing up for tonight and everything. But yeah, definitely, we do have some people in our lineage related to pharaohs. I know there's no such thing as a pharaoh because there was no such word back then, but kings in Egypt or whatever they called them at that time. And a lot of that evidence is here in America. But yes, a lot of that stuff is hidden in private museums, and they're not planning to release that anytime soon. So. I mean, I don't hold out any hope that they'll release it within our lifetime. I mean, they're just now releasing things about MLK, and that was 60, almost 70 years ago. So I don't believe they'll release it. But I'll land with that.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
We're gonna move on to
thanks.
I think Zero. Hey y'all, I want to hit on a couple things and I'll be real quick. First off, what's up, Professor? What's up,
What's
Nikki?
up?
What's up, Ronnie? Hey to the room. Um, First thing, you gotta look at man been recording history say 10,000 years, but if you look at how quick history advanced from 10,000 years up until World War II, and then you look at how much stuff we've how far we've advanced from World War II up until now. I heard that when they dropped the nuclear bomb, or when they dropped the nuclear bomb, and during World War II, soldiers on the Nazi side and on the American side reported seeing what they call Foo Fighters, like balls of light floating in the sky. And from then on out, we've been having so-called alien see people, seeing aliens. Another thing, if have y'all ever heard of the Hopi or the Anasazi Indians?
Yes.
One of them, or if not both of them, disappeared supposedly in their lore. And if you go to the internet and you can look up, it's cave drawings where you see them like clearly them hunting buffalo with bows and arrows. Then you see them clearly meet these giant beings that's got like astronaut helmets over your head. Think of like the ones from Russia a long time ago, like in the 50s, with the glass in the front. And then you see them walking off with them. Um, Another thing y'all was speaking about, and that was about giants. Oh, or I'm sorry, about no, I think the young lady did say something about giants. It's some stories about giants all over the earth. In religions, in myths and lores, even in the Bible, it says, in those days, giants
Goliath.
walked the earth. Yeah, well, no, not even no,
Hmm.
before Goliath, even
Yeah,
it says,
they're all over the
it says
place.
in
You're
those
right.
yes, it says in those days, giants walked the earth. These were the mighty men of renown, the heroes of old. So it begs to, I mean, it makes you think about, it makes me wonder, were these stories that you hear were true, you know? And one more thing before I go, the slave trade. I'm not saying that I don't know. I'm not saying that we were the Indians running around with feathers in our head at this time, but to me, if 12 million slaves was taken from Africa and brought, and half of them were brought to Brazil, and the rest of them was brought to America and Puerto Rico and all the other places, and half of those is supposedly died in the sea. How do we get to 43 million people just in America alone that quick? It doesn't make any sense, and it would be hard, and it would be hard to bring 12 million slaves across or people across the ocean now on boats, much less way back then. And I land my plane.
I can answer that somewhat. I don't know if this answers it because so 102 people came on the Mayflower and now they number to 35 million people. So that's not the question really. Yeah, they can balloon up to that much, but we were put under a lot of pressure and we don't know how many people died, but enough people died on those slave ships to change the migratory patterns of sea life because they knew they were going to get to eat people if they followed those ships. So people did come on ships and people were here. We know that's a fact. And so I guess we can just talk about the numbers. Anything else?
Can I say one more? Yes, can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
I was scrolling through YouTube, just searching and looking one day, and I bumped up on a documentary about Africaville in Nova Scotia, and it's about the descendants of the slaves that ran
Mhm.
from America, I guess during the Revolution, during the American Revolution, and it's a documentary on them and how they're living right now, and it's pretty much they pretty much are living in the same situations that we are in the inner city. I forget
So,
the
Uh,
name of
can
the
you share that link, please? Can you
yes,
share
I'll
that
go.
link
yeah,
of the Nova Scotia?
Okay, I'll go find it right now. And I'll land my plane right there.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Professor, Sister Wanda,
Hey,
Sister
Capone.
Nikki, how y'all doing tonight? All
Hey.
right. Yeah, they own you, Professor. I had to drop and come back like 3 times, man. They messing with you every time you mention the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
But y'all remember a couple years ago how they had the antenna in the Grand Canyon and it mysteriously disappeared?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, they had like some sort of like little structure in the Grand Canyon. Story came up for a week and then it disappeared. But then another one off topic. We had a space not too long ago talking about the sea creatures and why they can't explore all of the sea. Yeah. Do you guys remember that picture where those Navy men or those naval men had a picture of the last dragon they found in the sea and they all mysteriously died?
No, what's that about? I
Yeah, it
need
was a
to.
real. They found a real baby dragon, took
Oh
a picture
boy.
of it, and then all four of them came up dead somehow.
Yeah, they don't
It was
like
like
you
back in
finding
nine.
stuff
It
like
was like
that.
back in '99, I think it was.
Okay,
They
I'm
found
gonna
a
try to find it.
yeah.
They
It's like four
it's
naval men had
Navy, okay.
accidentally killed a baby dragon, and then they took a picture of it, and then all of them came up dead within the month. Nobody knows what happened to their bodies or nothing. And then another one off topic. Well, not really off topic, but we had mentioned as far as how we go back. We've been here for 10,000 years because that Iceman that they found was a black man 10,000 years ago in North American Hills. And for them to they've been covering up the whole process. So we cannot trust none of these people and what they say on coming to our lineage or nothing because we've been royalty. And I land on that.
Thank you. I'm gonna look up that Navy dragon. I'm collecting up a bunch of evidence on why this keeps on persisting. These dragons and slain dragons and people riding on dragons and Loch Ness monsters and a lot of maps say that dragons are in the water. Don't go over here. There be dragons. A lot of dragon conversations.
Yeah, they
Hey,
had called it like I think it was like. Oh, go ahead, brother.
A1.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry about that, but A1, like the main thing I find weird is when it comes to different type of cultures, they all got something talking about a flying lizard
Yeah, they
to
do.
shoot out fire. Like
Mm-hmm.
China, Africa,
Yeah,
like
we're
I think
we're,
it's
we're
kind
gonna
of
talk about that
weird.
in the near
Like,
future. I have an ancient 300-year-old book that talks about. I was just telling Wani that the Babylonians mentioned a lizard, they mentioned a snake, but we're gonna talk about that in a future space. We're gonna go on. Last speaker today will be Fish and Grits. Fish and Grits, go ahead and make your submission.
Yeah, so since I see, I heard in your voice you tired, so you trying to get out of here. So I'll make it real quick. What Shawnee, what Wani, respect to Wani, what Wani was talking about is the sharks. Yes, during slavery, the sharks changed their migrational patterns to follow the slave boats to catch the slaves that they would throw overboard and shit. They knew that, oh, if you follow these boats long enough, something moving is gonna be falling off and shit. So all the sharks would just follow the slave boats. And yeah, that's the reason why sharks now treading waters that they don't normally migrate in, and that happened for like that's from 200 years of, like I said, of them following slave boats. But to the do you think I want to answer the title also? Do we are we related to pharaohs, kings, and queens? So most likely, if we're related to royalty, and like if royalty in Africa got snatched up and royalty in over here in North America, like tribe leaders and shit got snatched up and thrown in slavery. Oh, that what does that mean? Definitely. So academia has this because if we knew who exactly, if we start like I said discovering and uncovering certain things, we have more say, because it's like 1400-year-old treaties and shit. Because I was looking up some things. There's empire, there's nations and shit that been around in this country way before documented times, like in the 1200s and 1300s and shit. Secret societies and shit that's probably fake still around. So yeah, that's another conversation talking to. But I'm gonna land right there. Good night, my people.
So, real quick to summarize, Black Americans uh, were found to be related by E1B1A or EV38, shared by Pharaoh Ramses III and the Amarna mummies. There is a direct connection to those people, and we get notifications, the males get notifications, the African kingdoms, the Dahomey, Oyo, Ashanti, Congo, Wolof, all of those people sold their royal relatives into the transatlantic slave trade. And that's covered in many, many incredible books. And lastly, European royalty that owned slaves were French Huguenots from the House of Bourbon, English people from the House of Hanover, in the House of Stuart, which had King Charles II. They produced offspring with the enslaved. Also, the House of Orange, Nassau. All of those people owned people and produced offspring with them. So that's three different types of uh, royalty or um, nobility that we are related to by blood.
That's true. And one, I just want to say that my thumb slipped and I was giving hearts and it gave a thumbs down. That was an error.
I didn't notice.
Okay, somebody did. It was a mistake. So, what Wani said is correct. And Lerone Bennett wrote a beautiful book. If any of y'all get it, I'll buy it from you. It's called "Shaping a Black America." It's a hard book to find. And in "Shaping a Black America," Lerone Bennett identified that a lot of the Africans that were stolen during the transatlantic slave trade were of royal stature, and he said you could always tell who they were because they refused to do work. According to Lerone Bennett, most apparently were average citizens, but some were warriors, priests, noblemen, even kings and queens. They repeated. They are repeated references in Virginia records as persons of high rank. So in the Virginia records, it says persons of high rank in the slave and in the slave documents. Quote: a contemporary witness, Hugh Jones, tells us that Africans that have been kings and great men in their countries are generally lazy, haughty, and obstinate. So, if you have a lineage that's lazy, haughty, and obstinate, or like Muhammad Ali, you just like telling people what to do, guess what? You could be a king, you could be a pharaoh. And if you like me, you could even be related to British nobility, whatever the hell that mean. That don't mean as much as being related to Egyptian nobility, but I'm just saying. I wrote about it in chapter 9 on page 40 in my book. I said, according to me, quote, some African slaves had royal bloodlines. Is the name of the article. I said, quote, are people in your family stubborn? Are people in your family arrogant? How about lazy? Do you enjoy sitting around for hours playing video games? Then you may be a descendant of a royal bloodline. Ain't that a bitch? Ladies and gentlemen, I enjoyed y'all today. Wani, thank you for the scholarship. Look for us tomorrow, same time, same place. Same time, same place. I learned a lot in this space. Bars. Jay Rogers showed his ass. Remember, our our conclusion today is the real important conclusion of the day was predicated on the question: why don't white Americans let us have anything? Well, what we concluded, according to Dr. Claude Anderson, page 10 and 11 of Black Labor, White Wealth, we were never intended to enjoy the fruits of our labor. Our intended purpose was to serve at the love and discretion of others. We were not allowed to keep any type of joy. And finding out that you're of royal lineage is joy. Remember that members of the West African diaspora sold us into slavery. Therefore, they don't want us to have joy either. According to Dr. Claude Anderson, slaves were intentionally kept without hope. A slave's life was committed to producing wealth and comfort for white masters. Lastly, Claude says slaves suffered in silence. Ladies and gentlemen, before we conclude this space, I want to tell you you no longer have to suffer in silence. Enjoy your lineage. Take what me and Wani gave you, your royalty, and you deserve to be treated as such. I love all of you, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace out. Wani, you have any last words?
Good night.
Nikki, last
Have a
words?
blessed night. I'm sorry.
I need any.
I got a last word. Fight back by black.
I'll take that. Nikki, last words. Nikki went to sleep again. All right. Hopefully y'all will be on Tariq's page later on
Couldn't hear
tonight.
me.
Oh, I didn't
You
hear
just
you.
couldn't hear me.
I couldn't hear you,
Oh
babe.
yeah, I was trying to say peace. I accidentally had it muted.
Okay. P-
Peace.
Peace out. All right, guys. See y'all later. Tomorrow, same
Professor,
time. Same.
when exactly does your space start? 6, right?
Well, I live in Eastern time, so we're gonna say 9:30, whatever that is Eastern. I don't know what that is. 6:30. What's that? 6:30.
6:30, Professor.
Right on. So six.
But six, yeah, for Central Time, you said
No,
eight
sir.
thirty.
I'm Eastern. So Central is 8:30. Yeah, that's right. All right.
Okay.
Bye, y'all. And if you bought a book, it's coming. I'm sending it out tomorrow. Bye bye.